Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first installment of our Arc 5 streams that we're going to be doing for all of you today. Thank you all for stopping by. This is a crazy turnout. This is absolutely nuts to see all of you guys here in the chat today. We have quite a lineup set up for all of you, and briefly, we're just going to introduce the cast and get right into this chapter. This stream is going to be a little bit different setup stream-wise than I normally do, but we're going to just briefly explain that after we get everyone introduced. So we're going to go from top to bottom with our talented cast of VAs here, and let's get this started. I hope everybody's hyped and ready to go. Let's start out with Beatrice, and we'll work our way down.
Hello, I'm Nugget484, and I'll be doing the voice of Beatrice, I suppose.
Hi, my name is Kyles, and I'll be playing Emilia, Petra, and Ram.
Hi, my name's Super, and I'll be playing Garf.
Hello, my name is Gold, and I'll be playing Joshua this time around.
You guys all know me already. My name's Hollow. I'm just going to be helping narrate for this stream. And up next is Mimi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mimi.
Hello everyone, I'm WolfClaw, and I'll be voicing Natsuki Subaru, the protagonist.
What's up? I'm Kanda, last but not least, and I'm going to be playing Otto Suwen.
Alright, I hope
And narrating.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So this stream is going to be a bit different. I have the latency set a bit more delayed than normal, just so that there's smooth stream from OBS to YouTube. We're not going to be reading chat at all during the streams. We're going to be fully immersed in reading. That's why if you do donate anything, if you're generous enough to donate or become a channel member, we're going to be addressing all of that at the end of every chapter. These are going to be split up by chapter readings and chapter discussions briefly as we go along. So every time we end the chapter, we'll have a brief discussion for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, give our main VAs a chance to rest their voice before we go into the next chapter. This is a very ambitious project, and I just wanted to thank all of you for being here and all the VAs that we brought on board for this too. And I hope you guys are ready to roll out, because we are going to be starting from the beginning once again from Arc 5, Chapter 1. Perfect timing too, right after the Season 2 finale. If everybody in the call is ready to go, then I think we're pretty much ready to get started. If you guys want to follow along, we do have links to the chapters we'll be reading in the description. So go ahead and follow along if you guys want. Sorry about not reading the chat while we're doing these live readings. We want to fully immerse all of you in the glory of Arc 5. Are we all set to go, everybody?
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready.
Yes.
We're all ready.
We're ready.
Ready.
Oh, it's now or never. All right. I'm just going to intro this chapter, and then let's get right into it. I believe, Kanda, is it you or Super doing this first one for narration?
I am narrating this first chapter.
Perfect. All right. So here we go, everyone. We're starting from Arc 5, Chapter 1. It always starts with a visitor.
He breaks into a sprint, launching himself forward. Air breezes over the sweat that drips from his brow to his eyes. He blinks it away, ignoring it. His lungs ache with every breath, and his innards twist into knots. He grits his teeth and dispels all his pain. The only thing left in his mind is the word goal. Someone is yelling far in the distance. Their voice draws ever nearer, closing in on Subaru as he runs. With their call as his landmark, as his beacon, he sprints onward, onward. The frantic voice draws him in. Heedless of the white light swamping his vision, he runs. And...
Goal, in fact!
the second he crosses the finish line, clumsily drawn underfoot, the sky and the earth swap places. Small weeds poke into the crown of his head, and Subaru instantly puts his hand to the ground for a forward roll. The habitual action kills his momentum, and with two more unneeded rolls, he lands sprawled out on the ground.
Oh, everything hurts. Everything stings. Oh, but it's over. I did it!
Breathing breath after ragged breath, he still finds it in him to shout. He complains as he does to invigorate his faltering heart. He mustn't feel that his fatigue is simply wear, or that his effort is simply exertion. He must remember that this is not the end, and there is still more to come. Every time he tries to dictate where the finish line is, to give himself that satisfaction, Subaru puts his hand to his chest and thinks of that night.
Good job, Subaru, I suppose.
A small silhouette enters Subaru's view from above. A lovable girl with long cream hair and extravagant outfit. Beatrice. Her fluttering dress looks out of place in the meadow as she presents Subaru with the towel. He accepts it and vigorously towels his head dry.
Oh, thanks. I was looking to cool down, so this is perfect.
I'll tell you that Petra cooled it before you go painting this on me, in fact. Go thank her and she'll jump for joy, I suppose.
Haha, Petra's really considerate that way. But man, it's weird to see you out here, Bearco. Something putting you in a different mood than usual?
Subaru swings his arms as he sits up and slides over to Beatrice. She puts her hand to her hip, averting her gaze.
Just whimsy, in fact.
Oh wow, so it was whimsy, huh?
And I wanted to personally see what you're like when you're putting in your best, I suppose.
While keeping her gaze averted, Beatrice easily unveils her hidden intentions. She's so much more honest now. Subaru feels keenly that time has earned him her trust. Beatrice looks like she wants to say something to Subaru as he grins, but...
Now, this must involve more than just gallivanting about, in fact. What comes next, I suppose?
I'll have you know, this gallivanting is pretty taxing on its own. Ah, mademoiselle. Well, I cannot say whether I'll meet your expectations. I'm tackling the obstacle course of dreams next.
Ah, right, in fact. You mean the playground that Garfiel built in the forest, I suppose. Obstacle?
Obstacle course. You don't have to force yourself to memorize it. Just ignore it.
But Subaru, I want to understand every word you say, in fact.
The smooth line makes Subaru's cheeks relax even further. Beatrice looks puzzled by his reaction before she realizes what she just said, and her expression instantly shifts. Her cheeks are adorably pink as berries.
No! I didn't mean it like... It just came out that way, I suppose.
Oh, no. No worries. I know exactly what you meant. Everything's cool. I love you too.
You know exactly nothing, in fact.
Subaru chuckles as he jumps to his feet and scoops the sour-faced Beatrice into his arms. She looks displeased in his hold, but makes no complaints about being carried.
Subaru, you reek of sweat, I suppose.
Breathe with your mouth then, or just drain the mana directly.
I'll sap you dry if that's what you're asking, in fact.
Ah, you're gonna be the one crying after that.
As if, I suppose. Cease your nonsense, in fact.
With Beatrice in his arms, Subaru breaks into a run. His breathing returns to normal during their banter. Beatrice makes a perfect weight for running from the track in the field to the obstacle course in the forest. Since she's far lighter than she looks, basically a feather, Subaru soars with her in hand, so light he may have grown wings. Their new mansion is surrounded in just as much green as the old one. Shrubs grow in abundance throughout the verdant mountains. Subaru feels the cool breeze wash over his bangs as he launches into a run.
Okay! Alright!
The forest is so lush that it drowns everything visible in green. Here, Subaru sprints forward and lightly puts his hand to a sideways log, defeating the obstacle with only a small hop in his momentum. Vaulting proves an effective means of locomotion in places strewn with obstacles, or in urban areas with copious buildings. Parkour champions the technique, a sport that Subaru often watched on television, all the while amazed at the superhuman feats of the athletes. He never once anticipated that he would be training himself in this field.
Huh? Okay.
The climbing apparatus is the star of this obstacle course that Subaru got Garfiel to construct. One large post composes the central pillar, while logs are assembled together in the space around it. It is essentially a classical jungle gym, but with a slight avant-garde flair. The thing looks a mess to climb even while taking it slowly. Subaru leaps onto it with all the momentum from his sprint, using the slight contact from his fingers and toes purchase to shoot himself upwards, as if scaling a vertical wall. He races quicker than the eye can catch, all to the top of the jungle gym. But there is still more to this stunt, and more purpose to the gym.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Subaru reaches the slight footing at the peak before hopping to the uppermost point of the structure. He gazes down. Drop looks about 6 meters. Obviously, nothing is laid upon the wild, mossy ground. While the earth could have been soft once, it is now well-trodden and hard, meaning the terrifying fall is definitely going to hurt. However,
Ha!
without any hesitation, Subaru leaps down to the hard earth. Entirely undeafened as he is, this jump may appear the worst of his usual recklessness, but Subaru unhesitatingly stretches out his legs and contacts the ground. Suffering the pain of the impact, he writhes in hideous agony. Or not? Subaru bends his legs and ducks to dissolve the impact, breaking into a forward roll to avoid further damage. One more roll and another onto his hands and knees before he darts to his feet, sustaining no injury at all. He merely brushes himself off, wiping the dirt from his tracksuit. This is another parkour stunt, the land and roll. The stunt involves a landing combined with a roll to disperse the impact. It allows one to safely fall from moderate heights. While it's no big deal for superhumans, it is a question of life or death for the ordinary human Subaru. Just practicing this technique should be broadening his horizons for what he can do.
So, that's basically it. That improve your opinion of me?
Subaru spreads his arms wide and looks to Beatrice, who watched the whole thing. Beatrice sits calmly on the stump for spectators, her eyes widening.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised, in fact. It did improve my opinion somewhat, I suppose.
Oh, you're back in love with me?
Subaru, recently, I've been having trouble deducing what you're trying to make me say, in fact.
I only want to know you love me.
Beatrice's attitude already demonstrates it more than enough. Subaru gives the red-faced, indignant Beatrice a smile before glancing behind him. As shown by that spot of parkour, part of the forest has been repurposed into an obstacle course for Subaru. No one's going to complain about it since it's on Roswell's land, but Subaru has to keep his honest urge to send Garfiel occupationally into construction, having seen how easily he cleared the timber and built this to himself. Garfiel is surprisingly nimble-fingered and attuned to detail. Perhaps his young, reckless talent will bloom into more fields in the future.
Anyway, guess we'll call it here for today.
Hwah, I suppose.
Subaru catches the towel that Beatrice throws to him and wipes off his sweat as he did in the field. Then he stretches his legs, waist, and so on. The old world already drove the importance of limbering up into him, but now that he's seriously exercising his body, he truly does feel the effects. He can't do the splits, but he has grown more flexible. He puts his foot to a nearby tree trunk and stretches his body out. When he seats himself and spreads his legs, Beatrice walks over behind him and presses him down, letting him fall forward.
Whew, done stretching. Alrighty, let's get ourselves back to the mansion and blob out.
Indeed, in fact.
That comment would have earned him an insult before, but Beatrice accepts it now without argument. She is both accustomed to how Subaru handles her and to responding to it. Beatrice reaches out for him. Subaru accepts, and hand in hand, they exit the forest.
Bearco, are you holding back on the mana drain? Oh, it feels like you're taking less than usual.
I'm at least considerate enough to take care of when you're exhausted, I suppose.
My, how incredible your opinions change in just these 2 short hours. But we don't want you to suffer from this. Go back to the usual.
Subaru smiles wryly at Beatrice as he lifts their linked hands. She glances aside at him and sighs. Instantly, the usual sensation hits. Beatrice is directly entering the interior of Subaru's closed gate. This is the back door dedicated to extracting mana from Subaru without passing through the gateway. Only she can use this back door, and it's Subaru's lifeline. Subaru's abused gate has completely stopped functioning, but the loss of his gate does not stop his odd from generating slight amounts of mana. Actually, it is proceeding to generate more and more mana despite the lack of an outlet. If left like this, the mana inside Subaru will frenzy, and he'll pop like an overinflated frog, is how he understands it. But leaving aside whether he'll actually explode, Beatrice tells him it's dangerous. Since the mana exchange required to preserve their contract simultaneously resolves the issue, Subaru and Beatrice absolutely must have physical contact at least once daily. Subaru is constantly stockpiling tiny loads of mana, and Beatrice needs mana to function. Both in terms of personality and constitution, their compatibility is excellent. Although...
Whew, if you could mana drain people outside your contractor, we could easily keep you in a mega lolly mode.
Don't you go mulling over that, I suppose. I thought we came to an agreement about that ages ago, in fact. And you are amassing mana, even if it's in small amounts, I suppose. Even if it's as tinier than a sparrow's teardrops.
Beatrice has an idiosyncrasy where she only mana drains from her contractor. She had been constantly and randomly draining mana from people in Roswell's mansion before, but apparently that involved using the Forbidden Archive as a mediator.
The Forbidden Archive was arranged to mediate my mana intake, draining it from entities inside the mansion, in fact.
Was Beatrice's explanation. So the plan to drain mana from Garfiel, who looks to abound in the stuff, or from Emilia, initially struggling with her vast pool of it, is a wash. It's like someone silently telling him, of course it wouldn't work out that perfectly. But, while it disappointed him at first, he's glad for it now. Touching Beatrice is now a ritual representing more than just their relationship, and he likes the feeling of truth in their connection. The relationship between Subaru the spiritualist and Beatrice the spirit differs somewhat from those of normal spiritualists. They need to recognize how their partnership represents them by doing things like this.
I'm done, in fact. This is enough to fill me for today, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Whew. Nothing to it.
I've already decided not to comment when it comes to your bravado, in fact.
Done with their daily ritual, Beatrice gazes flatly at Subaru. They step off the forest trail and onto paved ground, proving that they're close to the mansion. The path resembles the one from Arlem village times, but now that it crosses through the nearby town of Costul, it all feels far less remote.
If I were going to pick, I'd say I prefer the quiet forest, I suppose.
I think noisy towns and quiet forests both have their appeal. I wouldn't pick one over the other. But, since the capital's the only big city I've seen yet, Costul feels pretty novel.
In fact, Subaru, your ideas are mismatched with Betty's, I suppose.
Beatrice pouts in clear dissatisfaction. Subaru pulls her onward, chiding her with a yeah, as he heads toward the path to the mansion, when...
Subaru-sama! Beatrice-chan!
Someone shouts their names, and the two of them look up. They find a girl running towards them from the road to the mansion. Her face and voice are familiar, and her adorable expression brightens upon sighting Subaru and Beatrice. Her auburn, shoulder-length hair flutters in the wind. The cat-like roundness of her eyes give her expressive face even more charm. Anyone would catch themselves smiling at her friendly, lovable attitude. A sweet wildflower out of anyone's reach. That would be a good descriptor for Petra Leyte.
I was just leaving to go fetch you two. Thank goodness we didn't miss each other.
Says Petra after running up to them, out of breath with her hand to her chest. Subaru gives Petra, who had grown to his chest, a pat on the head in response.
Oh, what's the rush? We weren't going to escape. Did you get those baked tarts at the perfect temperature of us or something?
Then it's sensible that she would make haste, in fact, since it's incredibly important, I suppose.
No! That's not it! You guys are being jerks!
Petra puffs out her cheeks as Beatrice nods solemnly and goes to remove Subaru's hand from her head. But once her hands clasp his own, she stops. She keeps that hold on Subaru's hand, cheeks flushed red as she continues.
Leaving the tarts aside for the moment, it's something else. The mansion has received a guest. Emilia-sama said to go and fetch you and...
Wait, Petra, just stop there. I'm getting a terrible feeling about this.
Huh?
Clearly wary, Subaru cuts Petra off. She looks surprised at this, but Beatrice doesn't. Well, yeah. Beatrice has witnessed the same things that Subaru has, considering they've been together ever since moving to the new mansion. Quite a few things have happened between now and the day they left the sanctuary.
And the conversation pattern goes exactly the same. When you show up to fetch me, or Frederica does, Or sometimes Otto or Garfiel do. It always means there's trouble. I've learned that much.
A guest suddenly appears while Subaru is out. Indeed, this absolutely is the pattern bespeaking misfortune, I suppose.
Beatrice-chan, you're using words that Subaru-sama does. Subaru-sama, stop teaching her weird things.
The mansion's consensus is that Bearco gets to do what she wants. But anyway, the guest, Petra, me, and Beatrice are absent due to a stomachache.
Huh? No, you don't! Emilia-sama will be furious. And I have no reason to disobey her. Come on, this way!
Petra used to be such a Subaru adherent, but living here has led her to oppose him when needed. Her hands grab Subaru's arm and she pulls him along, putting in their greatest effort to drag him away. As she does, Subaru glances to Beatrice, her hand in his.
Bearco,
Enjoy your day, in fact.
you're coming too!
Yeah, I suppose!
It starts as a plea for help, and instantly transforms into embroilment. Beatrice quickly attempts to shake him off, but Subaru keeps a tight grip on her left hand, and her right hand is restrained by Petra, leaving her doubly without an escape. With Subaru refusing Beatrice's escape, and Petra refusing Subaru's escape, the trio venture along in their nonsense arrangement to the mansion.
I know it's too late to kick the visitor out, but that just makes me wish we'd been told sooner.
You mean to have a messenger on messengers? What? But then we won't know how far we need to go out to anticipate them beforehand. That much is clear.
I'm just saying it'd be nice for everyone's mental health and relations if we did something about that. Anyway, do you know who today's visitor is, Petra?
The one receiving the guest is going to be Petra, Frederica, or Ram. One of the three. Since Petra is out here fetching Subaru, one of the other two will have to be dealing with the guest.
Well, not really.
You don't know? Maybe you didn't see their crest. But you'd have to have seen the messenger. And even if you didn't, I'm sure they would have told you something when they told you to fetch us.
They were in an incredible rush, saying that the guest was extremely important. But they didn't look so important.
You can't judge much off people's appearances. Sometimes you get little girls with powerful drills who also command dark powers. Though they may seem a mere dress-wearing lolly, in truth, they preside over...
Shut it, I suppose.
Beatrice is the one calling off the jokes, leaving Subaru silent. Petra looks at the silent Subaru, still worried.
I don't judge people based on their appearances anymore either.
That's good, Petra. Don't know what happened to change, but it was important you did.
I thought the new nasty-eyed chores man who came to the village was a weirdo, but he really wasn't.
It boomeranged!
Stricken somewhere that he didn't expect, Subaru tilts his head at Petra. Never mind her first impressions of him, the stuff she mentioned earlier is important. Petra doesn't judge people by their appearance, but she still thought the visitor was odd.
So, what are they like?
I guess... a kitty.
A kitty?
The image of a gray cat spirit, long tail wagging, comes to mind at the word kitty. Subaru's feelings for him are complex, and there are things they must talk about upon his eventual return.
Gotta ask him for his daughter.
I thought of Bubby too. But Petra's certainly seen him before, I suppose. So it can't be him, in fact. Petra, what kind of kitty was it, I suppose?
It's so cute that you're calling them a kitty too, Beatrice-chan.
Petra?
Says Beatrice indignantly to a teasing Petra. Petra gives an easy,
Sorry.
and looks up in thought.
I guess they weren't really a kitty. I haven't really seen one before, but I suppose they were a catfolk demi-human. I always think of Big Bro Garfield when I think of demi-humans, though.
Gar's mixed-raced, and he doesn't have any blatantly obvious demi-human traits. But you can manage on close inspection is how intense his eyes are.
And I guess you could mention his sharp canines. According to Garfiel, his canines will always keep growing, much like a rodent's incisors, and he needs to chew on hard objects to maintain their length and sharpness. It's not uncommon for Rom or Frederica to flip out at him after catching him chewing on the mansion's banisters.
So, a demi-human who looks demi-human has arrived. If they're catfolk, then they're probably a beastman. And I do know a couple of those.
It's a given in the capital, but Kostool also has many beastfolk demi-humans. A long period of time has dissolved the discrimination against demi-humans in the domain of Roswell, the demi-human fancier, making this area a nicer region for demi-humans to live in, or so says the local bunny-eared bartender. But Petra, who spends her time working in the mansion and goes to Arlem Village rather than Kostool on her days off, naturally is less familiar with them.
I get it. Could you show me around Kostool on my next day off then?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you'll get to go there for shopping and stuff too. And you want to be making as many friends as you can.
Subaru gives that poorly thought promise, and Petra pumps her fist. Beatrice only sighs and smiles wryly at Subaru.
And we're here, back at our beloved abode.
The gates come into view during their conversation, and Subaru lifts his hands, linked as they are with the girls'. He ignores their protests as the jester forces them to stretch, correcting his own posture and looking at the mansion. This is the new mansion replacing the old, burnt one. Its exterior gives the same western feel that the previous did, and is similarly designed. There is space between the front gates and the doorway, with garden lawns flanking the gravel path. On the right side is a fountain, while the left continues into a path to the side end of the mansion, where carriages are parked, that has stables for earth dragons. The fountain comes with an installation of colorful flowers, and at a fixed time daily, it sprinkles them with water. One section of the flower bed holds Subaru and Petra's vegetable garden, letting them harvest fresh vegetables in season. It's quite well praised when the crop is bountiful. The group pass through the front garden and the gravel path, leading them to large double doors. The knocker shares the shape of the Mathers family crest, using the raptor motif, which indeed makes this feel like the primary estate of the Mathers.
I noticed an unfamiliar carriage over by the stables. Guess it's the visitors.
Carriage is a dragon carriage, but it wasn't being pulled by anything like Petra-chan. It was a dragon. Oh, it wasn't a dragon. It was more like a big dog.
Pulled by a big dog? Actually, maybe it's...
Thinking back on his internal bestiary, Subaru gets a clue of the visitor's identity. But before he can reach a definitive answer, the solution ends up finding him. Which is to say...
Oh! Hello, mister! It's been forever! Have you been well?
A stupidly cheerful, high-pitched voice comes hurling at Subaru, startling him as he opens the door. Petra gives a wry smile, and Beatrice squeezes Subaru's hand slightly. With these reactions in the corner of his eye, he looks ahead at the figure bounding toward him. They're small. They're shorter than Petra, but a little taller than Beatrice, meaning that they're a child's height. But this may be as tall as she'll ever get. Her body is covered in short orange fur, and her alert cat ears are adorable. Her eyes abound with curiosity, and her loud mouth is curved mischievously. Her long orange braid is very feminine, and her perfectly fit white robe makes her all the more cute. She's effectively a bipedal kitten, and in some sense, a cat lover's dream. A catfolk, and one Subaru knows.
Mimi! It's been ages. You're as full as energy as always.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm super duper full of energy. You get it, mister. And I even grew bigger, and now I'm an adult. Mm-hmm.
Mimi puts her hand to her hip, smirking boastfully as her tail sways to and fro. She just looks like a lively, energetic girl, but actually she is a vice chair of the Beastman mercenary company Iron Fang, with considerable fighting prowess and many other surprises. She once helped Subaru in fighting the White Whale and Petalgeuse, and shares his tendency to be cloyingly friendly and familiar with anyone, which perhaps makes her the best friend he unaffectedly made during the whole affair. Incidentally, Iron Fang is basically the private army of Emilia's political opponent, Anastasia Hoshin, so they are an enemy going by that. But being hostile towards Mimi is entirely tasteless.
Thanks for coming all the way. Right, introductions. This cute maid here is Petra. She's an upcoming almighty maid who works in our mansion. And this blatantly wary lolly is Beatrice.
Okay, I got it. The maid who's Petra's and your baby. Got it. I won't forget it.
I feel she's remembering me by hideously improper means, in fact.
Beatrice is trembling, hiding behind Subaru's back. It seems she's scared of Mimi and how unforgivingly forward she is. Mimi mercilessly dives into her.
What? You'll never be big like me if you shrink up like that. Come on, get out here. Out, you get?
No, stop, I suppose. Betty doesn't mind being small, and you're too small to be saying this anyway, in fact.
Listen to the rookie. I'm huge inside, so my outsider's gonna catch up to me before long. The boss said so.
It's nonsense, I suppose.
Mimi pulls Beatrice to the front, manhandling her entirely. Beatrice looks to Subaru for rescue, but he enjoys watching her people shy while also making friends, and simply watches over her with a fatherly look.
Subaru-sama? Beatrice-chan is looking to you in sheer terror.
People mature by battling their weaknesses. Bearco is a little too averse to new things, so it's best that she starts developing that challenger's mentality now. Now, let us watch her in silence. Mum?
Mom? Yes, let's...
Subaru senses his mistake as he sees Petra blush and fall silent, but correcting it would be a mess, so he decides to just go with it. He turns his attention to Mimi, dancing circles around the room with a tight grip on Beatrice's hands.
So, if you're here, then are the others... Are your brothers or Ricardo with you? Also, I'd really rather goddamn Julius not show up without looking in first.
Anastasia's knight, Julius Juukulius, has a very complicated relationship with Subaru. Subaru doubts he can be sincere with him, even when seeing him face to face. Subaru knows he has some trouble dealing with Anastasia, but she's still preferable to Julius. But Mimi casts aside Subaru's worries with a shake of her head.
Nope. Not Hitaro or Tibi or the boss or Julius or my lady are here. It's just me. I'm here all on my own.
Oh, that's impressive and all, but what are you here for then?
Oh, right.
Mimi tilts her head before pouncing onto Beatrice. Heedless of Beatrice as she hurries to support her, Mimi gives a sunny smile.
I'm inviting you to a party. My lady said let's all hang out. So here I am to invite you. I'm super excited. Super excited.
And with that, we end chapter 1. Good job, everyone, for the first chapter reading. So now we're going to do a brief episode discussion, I suppose. Claps for everybody in this call. Good job, guys. Excellent job.
Very good.
Very
good.
good.
Well done, everyone.
Well done. All right. Yeah, you can hop in, Lightning. Go for it, my guy. We have a few anime-onlys that are actually amidst the cast, and some people who are going to be kind of blind reacting as we're going along reading, too. Myself included, after we pass a certain point in Arc 5. But we have Lightning Eagle and also Super and Emilia that are also here as fresh anime-onlys out of Season 2. So we can do a brief little talk about this and then jump right into Chapter 2 of Arc 5.
So, hello everybody. Lightning Eagle. I've been on a few streams for recaps.
How's it going, man?
But doing pretty well. How are you doing right now? Doing all right?
It's going really well. So what do you think about this first chapter, my guy?
Well, if we're gonna if this is gonna turn to an episode in season 3, this is quite interesting. Beatrice's dynamic with Subaru has completely changed.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is she outside now, she's actually having casual jokes. Like Beatrice made that little sound when she threw the towel over to Subaru. It's crazy to see her now being so expressive, even in only a little amount of writing. You kind of get a different sense of how she's feeling at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned some new information I thought was very, very crazy and could have affected season 2. Subaru's gate being broken and now turns him almost into a bomb. That's insane. Had season 2 gone any differently, he wouldn't have known that, and then he would have been dead. So wow, that's really, really crazy. His character, so he's not just tough guy. As we learned from beforehand, he had knowledge of a lot of little sayings. He was very into a lot of things that were maybe seen as a little bit geeky in that world specifically. So it's nice to see that his character is also getting more development, even though he hasn't even been in here right now. Petra is still more so trying to get Subaru to see her as a woman. Still not happening. Very funny with that mother situation. Her getting freaked out about it, even though it's kind of what she wanted at the beginning of this anyways, and Subaru kind of promising a date without trying to promise a date. Just interesting. We have a little bit of time pass, new mansion. I'm very curious. The image of it through the book is very detailed, but I'm curious to see like how that's going to look in visual.
You've actually reminded me, since we're taking this brief break right now, there are light novel images that we can show that have to do with just that first portion of Arc 5 that we just read. So we can't read the light novel, unfortunately, because it's not translated. However, the light novel illustrations, I did readings of these beforehand, and I was fortunate enough to have people send me just like wholesome light novel illustrations of certain points throughout. So we call them like chapter unlocks whenever I got to that point. So I'll throw one of them up on OBS right now. I know the delay is a bit bad. It's just so that we can focus a bit more on reading. But this is the moment where Petra comes and sees Subaru with Betty. So they have a very wholesome relationship. It's very adorable.
Been super wholesome. They even wrote fatherly inside of it. That's really, really funny. Oh my gosh.
Arc 5. Yeah, I hope
yeah.
Me and Kiki captured that as well as we could there, because it's really fun working on that dynamic.
A lot of people who had read... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kiki.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I was just going to say, a lot of people who read the web novel or light novel before the finale of Season 2, this is why we were all saying that this starts one of the most wholesome relationships in ReZero between Beatrice and Subaru. And it's so great to see so many anime onlys that are jumping into these live readings. You guys are killing it right now, just with being here and listening to us. But yeah, people were memeing that Otto was narrating. You're completely fine, Kanda. You're so fine.
No, wait, that makes the story better. I'd rather have Otto narrate everything.
Definitely.
Hey, Otto is the Watson to Subaru Sherlock, okay? He's got my back.
Exactly.
It was great to see that some people were excited to see Mimi come back too. We did not switch out that VA, guys. It's still Nugget forever.
Very good job
for this whole thing.
Very good job.
And people were asking who the Petra VA was as we were going along. It's the same one as Emilia, same voice actress.
Hi. I have pretzels.
You're nomming right now. Yeah, we'll give you a second. You make your debut in next chapter. Who is a VA for Puck? I suppose Puck is our lo-fi music player. That's all Puck is.
Puck is our mascot.
Puck's our mascot. But yeah, just wanting to get the input of people who never read this chapter before as like a blind
There's
reaction.
one thing I'm now very interested in is the fact that Anastasia wants to throw a party. That's quite a curious step.
The Ocean Company, don't worry. You can trust the
I don't know
Ocean
about
Company.
that. I'm worried.
Oh, before we continue anymore, I feel really bad about not... There were a couple donations that I missed at the very beginning, so if you did send a dono, thank you for that. I wrote down the names on a sticky note so I wouldn't seem like a complete jerk missing them. But thank you to Harry, Severe, Sylvan, Cameron, and Nobody for the donations as we were reading. Really appreciated. Everybody's liking Mimi's performance. Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
All right. Are we all situated for the next chapter?
How heavy is next chapter's part on Otto? Because I want to give him a bit since he was very heavily narrating there. Kanda, what do you say, dude? You good to go?
I am ready.
You are ready? Emilia, are you committing more cannibalism with cinnamon rolls, or are you ready to roll out for chapter 2?
Ready.
All right. I guess
we're good.
Any more pictures? Not right now. We've only unlocked one, unfortunately. But don't worry. Next chapter, I think we get another image unlocked. So you guys are going to get a bit spoiled for the first
stream. Super is saying that he was narrating for the second part here.
Yeah. Are you
Okay.
ready to go for
Good to
that,
go?
Super?
Yeah, yeah.
Let
can
me
you hear
let me just lead you in with the title, and actually no, you can just I'll let you take this one away, dude. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Chapter 2, everyone.
Chap. Okay.
Chapter 2, everyone.
Chapter 2. The Pedigree of the Poseur. Subaru tilts his head, Mimi merrily waving her arms as she takes the lead. Party is a pretty extravagant word, and it's coming out of nowhere.
Party invite from Anastasia-san? But that's still like... What happened? Is there something to celebrate?
Celebrity? Whatever, who cares? It'll be so much fun eating food and getting drunk. So much fun!
You're clearly too young to be drinking.
I'm an adult as of this year. The boss says I can drink, but my lady says I can't.
Mimi puffs out her chest, and the belled ornaments in her hair chime. Subaru's eyes shoot open in shock.
What? You're allowed to drink? Then you're fully grown? No way! How old are you?
I just turned 15, so I'm an adult. I'm a big girl.
Big girls don't talk like that. Big girls don't talk like they're still in grade school. But anyway...
Having regained some composure, Subaru puts his hand to his chest as he recognizes the differences in adulthood between this world and the old one. It's essentially the same as Genpuku. The age of adulthood is about 15 in this world, and that's when it's legal to drink and smoke.
Would be the right way to consider it. Petra?
Yes, that's right. But going into more detail, boys leave their homes to find work at 15, while some girls start getting married around then. If they don't get married, it's also when they'll usually start working, like me.
Which means you left your home pretty early. You're a feisty girl, you.
I don't think that was a compliment.
Petra glares at Subaru, who heads over to an exhausted Beatrice. Mimi has released her, and her pigtails are in some disarray. She looks bitterly up at Subaru.
After participating in your training and being manhandled by this cat, Betty is exhausted, I suppose. Subaru, carry me, in fact.
Participating? All you did was watch.
Beatrice spreads her arms out, reaching for Subaru, and he scoops her into his arms. He's more muscular than he used to be, and since she's light as a feather, the weight doesn't bother him at all. Though, he does sort of look like a dad cradling his daughter now, which is not ideal.
Ooh, you're holding the baby. That's awesome. Hold me too. Me too.
Your boss would be another story, but I physically can't do it. Request denied.
What? That's no fair. No fair. Unfair. Unfair.
Mimi scampers around Subaru as he holds Beatrice. For some reason, Beatrice smiles victoriously. Eventually, Mimi grabs onto Subaru's tracksuit.
Okay then, I'll just climb up.
Idiot! Stop! You topple me over! Petra! Help me stop! What are you doing?
I'm not jealous or anything. I'm not! But would you mind if I climbed you, Subaru-sama?
Yes?
Subaru holds a little girl, with a kitten girl and a maid girl pursuing him incessantly. The shenanigans in the foyer continue without resolution, when...
I thought you were taking forever to return, and here you are monkeying about in the foyer.
The frigid voice makes Subaru and Petra stand straight. Mimi's eyes sparkle with curiosity for the new speaker, while Beatrice sighs. The voice is coming from the stairway overlooking the foyer. Subaru glances up to find a girl standing there. Where she can see the four of them, she has pink hair, and wears a shortcut maid outfit. Her cerise eyes look apathetic, and though she is cute, There is nothing cuddly about her. This is Petra's colleague, Ram, the head of the maids of the mansion. She gazes coldly at Subaru and snorts a breathy,
Filthy.
You're the filthy one for reaching that conclusion. Maybe you can argue about how sound this is, but it's still a hot, warm scene.
You always bend reality to suit your purposes. But Barasu, you mustn't forget. I judge only by what I've seen.
Maybe you can take off your weird filter before you start looking, please?
Ram glances at him disinterestedly, apparently unwilling to hear him out. She ignores the stunned Subaru and looks over at Petra, who instantly starts to quake.
Petra, I told you to drag Barasu here by the neck if you had to. Would you like to explain why you're playing with him in the foyer?
I'm sorry, Sister Ram.
It seems you weren't listening, Petra. I believe I asked, why are you dawdling here in the foyer?
Stop acting like the sister from hell. It was just me screwing around. Petra's not to blame.
Well, of course she's to blame. I'll pummel you, Barasu.
She's only a little to blame.
Pleased with that concession, Ram jerks her chin to the room behind her.
You mustn't keep Emilia-sama waiting. Barasu, to the upstairs parlor. Petra, the dining room. Beatrice-sama, accompany Barasu.
Of course, I suppose.
What about me? Come on, what about me?
Petra regretfully lets go of Subaru's sleeve, but he remains caught in the energetic cat girl's firm grip. Ram brushes aside her hair, caught on her cheek.
I ask you to accompany Barasu to the parlor, dear guest. I'm afraid that your companion is unsettled by your absence.
Okay. Guess I gotta go then. I didn't know, dude.
Even Ram is polite when receiving guests. Mimi laughs boisterously in reply, but Subaru catches something that he can't ignore.
Companion? But I thought you said you were alone.
I did, and I am. No Hitaro, or Tivi, or the boss, or Julius, or my lady are here, but Joshua's here. I'm alone being Joshua's bodyguard. But bodyguard?
Bodyguard?
Yes, bodyguard.
Mimi puffs out her chest, smirking. Subaru pats her head before looking back up at Ram.
I'm sorry. I was sure it was only Mimi. I didn't realize I was making someone wait.
So it seems. It's fine, but do hurry. Emilia-sama's patience will tire before long.
Can't have that. Okay. See you later, Petra. Let's go, Mimi.
Ooh!
Who is this mysterious Joshua? He must be someone from Anastasia's faction who Subaru doesn't know. If they're sending him as a messenger and appointing Mimi as his bodyguard, he must have a suitable rank. He could have an important post if Mimi refers to him without an honorific. But then again, considering how indiscriminately friendly Mimi is, it doesn't exactly indicate much.
I'll bake the tarts once everything is settled down. You will taste them, won't you, Subaru-sama?
Whispers Petra before darting out of the scene. Frederica must be waiting for her in the dining room. Subaru doesn't know whether they'll serve food in the parlor, but either way, it seems like it's going to be a while before he gets to eat Petra's tarts.
Who else is in the parlor with Emilia-tan?
Roswell-sama has not returned yet, which leaves her with Otto and Garf. If the visitor is an assassin in disguise, Garf will be enough to manage them.
Ha. Doubt we'll need to be so worried about direct attacks. I already told Emilia-tan to use Otto as a human shield.
If I ever feel in danger, that's what I'll do too.
There are no words for how they treat Otto. Well, actually no there are. Either way, if those three are the ones in the parlor, Otto must be stuck pulling more than his weight. Should they neglect to lessen the strain upon him swiftly, they are liable to lose their precious internal affairs minister.
He never gets his reward, I suppose. I don't understand why he's even friends with you, in fact.
It might be invisible to others, but me and Otto are tied together with a solid bond of masculine friendship. Rock solid.
Ooh, rock a salad.
Ram's sigh guides the three up to the parlor, the very first room after scaling the foyer staircase. Ram knocks on the door, which then opens from the inside. The face that peeks out belongs to— There you are, Captain! You're taking so long, so I was thinking I'd have to go and get ya.
Ah, it would have been funny if you were said to be leaving to look for me and left Otto there on his own.
Crap! It woulda. Now I'm imagining him panicking everywhere and freaking out. Garfield, with his short blonde hair, sharp fangs, and characteristic forehead scar, shared a mischievous grin with Subaru. He jerks his chin, his arms crossed, apparently keeping himself posted at the door. Get in here. The guest's saying you gotta be here when we're gonna talk. Otto and Emilia were trying to give him a welcome, but it just looks like a comedy.
Honestly, I'd want to see that.
Cease this foolishness and enter the room. We're already delayed.
Gah!
Ram drives her foot into the small of Subaru's back. He goes stumbling into the room. His odd posture as he bursts into the scene earns him stares from those in the parlor. The predominant emotions are relief, exasperation, and confusion, respectively. Subaru suppresses his urge to make excuses to be relieved and exasperated parties about his tardiness, and turns to face the confused individual. The prim, handsome man gazes back at Subaru. A well-tailored outfit garbs his slender frame, and his long violet hair is tied in a ponytail. He exerts a scholarly air, and his monocle only supports that impression. His yellow eyes are rather sharp, and between that and his pout, he peers at Subaru's unfamiliar face. He looks displeased. Neither party makes the best first impression on the other.
And this would be?
The visitor is the first one to speak up. He looks away from Subaru, and to the two people seated before him. A beautiful girl with silver hair flowing down her back is the one to nod and answer him.
Right. I apologize that he arrived late. This is my knight, Natsuki Subaru.
A tingle shoots down Subaru's spine. The words, "my knight," are simply so wonderful that they captivate him every time.
May I point out that he seems, enraptured?
Subaru, stop making funny faces, I suppose. He's going to think... Huh? This feels quite forceful, in fact. No, you're holding... Subaru! Ouch! Ow, I suppose!
Sorry. Was tripping.
He had almost unwittingly squeezed Beatrice to death to distract himself from his feelings. A Biako hug, or also a bear hug. That's what it was. Anyway, the guest looks on skeptically as Subaru clears his throat and puts down Beatrice.
As stated a moment previously, I am Natsuki Subaru. I serve as a knight to Emilia-sama, who makes her presence before you. It pleases me to make your acquaintance.
The tracksuit makes it a little slovenly, but his manners align perfectly with courtly etiquette. He used to think cynically of the pretentious attitudes of knights, but now that he's trying it himself, he finds it works surprisingly well for him. It's not a question of whether it suits him or not. It's that he feels himself being more a knight. The pressure, knowing that one misstep will leave him a laughingstock, gives the rigid seriousness meaning. Under the tutelage of Garfiel, with his extensive knowledge as a knight of fanatic, Subaru has fostered etiquette that disgraces him not as a knight. Subaru glances through the door to find Garfiel watching him, satisfied. Garfiel notices Subaru's glance and flips him the bird. Subaru taught him the gesture, but he's using it wrong. While he may be a good teacher, Garfiel is a failure of a student.
You humble me. I myself am Joshua Juukulius, visiting you as an envoy on behalf of Anastasia Hoshin-sama.
Then you would be Joshua-san. What a fine name. Still, I must apologize for my poor punctuality. Allow me to... Juukulius.
Halfway through the diplomatic fineries, Subaru finds himself tilting his head at the familiar word. Joshua nods with a
Yes.
and adding onto that,
That's right, Subaru. Joshua is Julius's little brother. And they're both supporting Anastasia together. It's so sweet.
laughs the girl, her chaste demeanor gone, and her speech far more casual. Her face as she looks at Subaru is her true face, naturally. Subaru sighs, staring impolitely at Joshua as he seats himself opposite him. As the seats himself beside Emilia, like it's natural.
Ah, what? So he's Julius's brother? Actually, now that you mention it, they are pretty alike. You have that disdainful, or not, intense gaze of his, or that mocking, or not, elegant smile of his, or that hellish, or not, pretty hair color of his.
If you need to force it every time, then would you care to refrain from commenting at all?
Says Otto, unable to hide his sweat. He's the head minister of the Emilia faction's internal affairs. Or more rather, he's the only one capable of being said minister. So that's why he has the title. The diplomacy terrifies him immensely.
Did you lose weight?
Life here is simply too exhilarating, yes. When things in this exact vein keep happening in constant succession, the mental fatigue leaves me too exhausted to exercise, and thus skeletal! Skeletal!
Skeletal!
Cheers, Mimi, unintentionally aggravating Otto further. It looks like the only thing keeping Otto quiet is the fact that Mimi is the guest's companion. She disregards him entirely as she scampers over and leaps onto the seat, beside Joshua. Beatrice also looks at the seats. But Subaru, Emilia, and Otto are fully accepting the seat opposite Joshua and Mimi. They could scooch together to open room for Beatrice, but it would look lame. And so, Beatrice promptly seats herself on Subaru's lap. Subaru naturally loops his hands around Beatrice's waist, making sure she won't fall.
Now, finally, getting to the main topic.
Please wait. Who is this girl?
And Joshua winds up too flustered to talk. He points at Beatrice sitting on Subaru's lap and leans forward so forcefully that his monocle slips. Apparently, he lacks Julius's composure. Subaru decides that he prefers this to Julius, while Mimi instead speaks up.
Jeez, you're so behind, Joshua. This is Biyako. She's Subaru's baby. It's so obvious. And beside him's the mommy. And beside her's the housekeeper.
Honestly, I am far too unconfident about what my current standing is to be hearing that I'm the housekeeper, so would you please care to stop?
Housekeeper! Wow! It's like a witch beast name.
Otto's pleas are entirely ineffective on Mimi. The embodiment of dumb innocence. Nobody bothers to react to Otto, who slumps his shoulders. Subaru puts his hand on Beatrice's head.
Sorry for not introducing her. We just get so used to sitting like this that I completely forgot to explain.
Otto couldn't forgot to mention it too. And he caught me unawares as well.
Who says caught me unawares anymore?
It's Emilia's usual phrasing. But Subaru agrees with the sentiment. And Otto must be getting so accustomed to this life that he's forgetting to interject with common sense. It's a good problem to have.
This is Beatrice, and Mimi's right. She's the child of myself and Emilia summer.
What?
Joshua, aghast.
Please, no, she's not. Subaru! Look at how you shocked Joshua. I know we kissed, but you can't make babies kissing. I've been studying.
Sorry, Emilia-tan. I think some private stuff just got thrown right into the open. It was my bad, so I'll just introduce her normally.
This is what you get for using me for tomfoolery, in fact. You best regret it, I suppose.
Subaru forces a smile at Emilia and Beatrice. Emilia's misunderstanding about making babies have only been rectified when it comes to making babies by kissing. Subaru couldn't go any further into the topic, and anticipating the shock the subject would give Emilia, the faction's woman decided to wait until she's more mentally mature. Basically, everyone's overprotective.
So Miss Beatrice's true station would be.
Joshua fixes his monocle, overwhelmed with his initiation to Roswell Mansion and his people. But shouldn't the unruliness of everyone here be pretty close to the Anastasia's faction, which has the Iron Fang?
I'm sorry that the conversation keeps slipping. Beatrice may look like an ordinary, lovable little girl, but she's actually my contracted spirit. She's a lolly granny!
Exactly. I'm a spirit, in fact. And I know that you're mocking me with that word lolly granny, I suppose.
Beatrice brushes Subaru's hand aside and digs her head into the underside of his chin. She has grown rather proficient in Subarus, making verbal gaffes generally impermissible. Lolly granny is just the combination of granny and lolly, a word that he has already explained to her, so of course she saw through this one. Joshua's reaction to Subaru and Beatrice's heartwarming exchange is extreme. His prudish but charming face falls frigid.
I see. She's a spirit.
Nobody who catches his whisper can decode his sentiment. It's not that he's hiding his emotions. It's the opposite. The emotion is so convoluted and complex that it's impossible to tell what lies at its core. But everyone can see that it was not a friendly statement. Hey, guess! You got a problem with our captain having a spirit with him? Garfiel has inherited Subaru's old role, which is practicing disrespect to anyone. While everyone else deliberates on how to address the problem, he fearlessly dives right in. Joshua promptly shakes his head.
No, it's nothing important. Just, it struck me that Natsuki's dono is a spirit knight. As I myself am sure you already know, my brother is a spirit knight. The title is so rare you could call him the only holder in the nation.
Yeah, I know. When we were fighting the witch cult, he really helped me out a lot. So,
are you truly so reluctant to accept that he saved you?
No. But thinking back on his battles with Julius made him feel awkward about what he's saying, and makes the old wounds from his beatdown sting.
I heard there was another knight who uses spirits, in fact. What an odd turn of fate for it to be your brother, I suppose.
What do you mean by odd turn of fate, spirit?
It's obvious what I mean, in fact. Precursors are destined to be exiled, I suppose. His best place is as an ornament on the glorious road that Subaru and I...
Don't pick fights with people we've just met. And I've got nothing on Julius. I'm never going to beat him in what he does. I don't beat people who are good at puzzles by challenging them to puzzles. I beat them by challenging them to Mario Kart.
Subaru muses Beatrice's hair and bows his head to Joshua, while pushing Beatrice's head into a bow as well.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make a fool of your brother. Or really, I know that I'm less capable than him. This spirit here is just being a braggart.
An admirable and correct judgment. When comparing yourself to my brother, it's natural to recognize your inferiority.
Subaru was looking to make a mature compromise. But Joshua's abrupt arrogance makes things precarious again. Heedless of Subaru as he furrows his brows in confusion, Joshua catches the light on his monocle.
Yes, my brother is amazing. At the age of 20, is the second most capable of the Imperial Knights, the finest order of Knights of the Kingdom. His service to Anastasia-sama currently distances himself from his station as Imperial Knight, but once her wishes are fulfilled, he will be secured a place as head of the Imperial Knights. He has a close, amiable relationship with the Swordstein Reinhardt, and holds himself impeccably in both public and private context. He's strict on himself and others, disciplined, ambitious, always seeking improvement. His beautiful looks enrapture scores of women. His personality is accordingly excellent. Yes, my brother is amazing. You're nothing compared to him.
Joshua speaks with passion, his face red as he goes on and on and on. Subaru has no reply, and Beatrice recoils too. Garfiel and Otto stay silent, unsure whether this could get deadly. And Mimi is too busy stuffing her cheeks with snacks to help him out of this. There is only one person here who can counter Joshua's screed.
Joshua, you love your brother Julius so much.
In this room exists an angel who will take anything positively. Her words make Joshua realize what he just said, and his face reddens in shame rather than excitement. He clears his throat, managing to compose himself.
My apologies. I may have fired myself up. I have some difficulty restraining myself when it comes to my family.
No, it's okay. I want to hear you talk about Julius more. I've only ever seen Julius while in the capital here and there, so there's lots more I want to know about him.
Really? Well, there are several memories of me and him that...
How about we save those for another occasion? And finally get to the point? How does that sound? Otto? Garfiel?
Huh? Subaru cuts in, forcing the other two into the conversation while they pleadingly try to stay out of it. But they do promptly nod in agreement. Joshua then notices that the conversation has strayed incredibly far, and...
Then we will save the stories of my brother's magnificence for another time. I myself must also fulfill my duties and reconvene with Anastasia-sama shortly.
Right. I'm so excited for them. So, it really took us a long time to finally get here. But what is this visit all about?
Joshua's awkwardness lingers as he feigns calm, while Emilia easily enters royal selection candidate mode. The tone of their voices drop, bringing a tenseness to the parlor. Emilia can establish tension like this because she has come to recognize her place as a budding politician.
I speak to Emilia
And makes Joshua's expression regain its former warmth. He puts his hand in his pocket, withdraws a letter, and sets it on the table. He opens it, looks down at the letter and their black ink.
Anastasia-sama wishes to invite yourself and all of your associates to the city of Prestella.
And in the station to Prestella City. Prestella is the Watergate city, yes? The big city near the border between the Kingdom of Lagunica and the Karagagi city-states?
You are correct. Anastasia-sama is presently sojourning there, rather than the capital, and she wishes to invite you.
Joshua quietly lowers his head. Emilia looks away from him and glances at Subaru. Obviously, this gaze means...
What are your thoughts?
Subaru feels similarly to Emilia about the whole thing. Everyone knows that Anastasia is staying in a mansion in the capital's noble district while she's in Lagunica. When Mimi mentioned an invitation to a party, Subaru was certain it would be to that mansion.
Prestella is a scenic place. The city is distinctive in itself and makes for a popular tourist destination. Anastasia-sama finds herself delighted and at ease there.
It'd be great if you were showing us a nice place, but you're not, are you? Emilia and Anastasia aren't friends.
If Subaru remembers this right, then Anastasia was particularly harsh on Emilia during their dialogues in the palace. The candidates most unsparing toward Emilia were her and Priscilla. Krush is simply not racist, and Felt is in Emilia's debt. So while Anastasia did help during the White Whale and witch cult fights, Subaru's personal opinion of Anastasia is not very good. So he doubts that this invitation is anything so kind-spirited. As if supporting Subaru's doubts, a grin etches itself over Joshua's face, and...
Anastasia-sama invites you at her own beneficence. She has noticed the valuable object you are in searching for in Prestella.
What I'm searching for?
The instant that Emilia shows her interest, Otto's expression screams, "He got her." This tells Subaru that Joshua snatched away predominance before they could stop it. But he still cannot see the crux of this deal. In that delay, the opponent takes full control of the conversation. Grinning, Joshua speaks on.
In Prestella City, there is a shop selling spell stones, in which slumbers the high-grade, colorless stones that you desire. I believe that you are currently seeking an anchor for the Great Spirit.
The second that Joshua gains dominance, the Emilia faction are fated to leave for Prestella.
And so concludes Chapter 2 of the live reading. How do you guys like that chapter in the call for all of you anime onlys here? Or not anime onlys anymore. Lightning, Melee.
I've now graduated. I am not just an anime only. There was a
Congratulations.
lot of information in that chapter specifically.
I'm excited for chapter 3. But great job, both Kanda and I really just sorry, Otto and Garfiel. People were complimenting your narration both the times that you guys are reading through. So awesome job.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
I have a couple of parts because now I'm doing my thing of taking notes again.
Oh,
So
you
we kind of have we already talked about Subaru and them having a different dynamic. We had the whole situation with Mimi, Petra, and Beatrice, and Subaru looking like a super lolicon to the point that Ram had pointed out. But at least Subaru's aware of the situation he doesn't want to be in. Seeing that everybody in this world starts working around 15, that also makes Subaru look stranger in Caesar 1. He's just going around and has literally nothing going on in his life, which would mean for like 3 years he's done absolutely nothing. And he's dressed strange, and he's in the middle of like the most busy city in the world. That's a very nice touch to add on to that. Beatrice more so acting like a child. That was very funny hearing Emilia, Subaru, and Beatrice as a family. I thought about it before yesterday, but I was like, no, we already made the joke that she's the aunt. But never mind, now she's also the child. With Petra and Ram, it seems like Ram is taking the mean big sister role, while Frederica was taking the kind big sister role. Ram seems a bit harsh on somebody like Petra, but I can see why. Again, she's trying to get her to take the job seriously. However, Team Frederica first. Poor Otto is just being dogged on. Roswald's gone again. Subaru is now a true white knight, is what I wrote down specifically, because now he's being able to feel that moment where she's literally calling him a knight. To the point he froze. Trying to think. Oh, how did I forget? Amelia's kissing thing. Oh my gosh, she's been doing
the whole
research.
chat blew up. So the entire chat, and I knew this was gonna happen. For everybody who's read the context already, literally when that line was brought up, it literally just flooded with taking notes with a bunch of like insinuation. Yo, Wolf, do you think we just explain what happened in web novel so that it makes a little more sense?
Yeah, so this unfortunately was cut in the anime because they lacked in time, but essentially after the conversation Subaru has with Emilia about how to make babies and that she's pregnant, Subaru realizes that he's too embarrassed to try and explain it to her, so he runs off and basically tells either Frederica or Ram to just tell her what sex ed is.
Oh my gosh.
Unfortunately, as it's revealed in this chapter, they couldn't bring themselves to spoil the innocence of Emilia. So in the end, she still doesn't know how to make babies.
Oh no.
Independent Emilia ton. What do you think of Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was so frustrated with myself at that line because I was trying really hard not to laugh. I didn't expect it, and I flubbed it.
Yeah, I could tell you were like, really holding yourself back from laughing there.
I was laughing many times at this.
You'd be surprised. The start of this arc is really funny.
It's really
This is
wholesome.
It's a
totally,
very strong
like-
arc so far. It's very strong.
This is totally enhancing like my entire experience of Arc 5. Like I never laughed while actually reading it. This is so good.
We have almost 500 likes on this stream and 260 concurrent throughout. So a lot of people are enjoying this. This is definitely much more enjoyable to listen to than just a solo narration. So I think everybody's done a really good job so far. People were gushing over Otto and Garf and like Mimi and just like all the VAs.
Yeah, you guys did a lovely job.
Lovely job. I like that they already established the hate between Subaru and Julius already, like this early on in Arc 5. The minute that he heard Juukulius, he had like PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah, PTSD flashbacks to that. Get ratioed.
Joshua is an interesting character
You're right.
so far.
There's a light novel image. Don't forget the light novel unlock. I'm sorry, I have it right here. I pulled it up and everything. I never put it on the screen.
Oh, I remember seeing this image a long time ago. This is so wholesome.
This is a wholesome. I gotta just put it on top of the first one, but we'll just. Yeah, light novel image unlocked. There is Subaru and Emilia with Beatrice on Subaru's lap, and then Joshua and Mimi. Yeah, the whole family. The family's all there.
Oh yes, this is the scene Subaru is saying that Bearco is his child with Emilia.
Thank you, Sylvan, for the $2, and then thank you, Miguel, for the 20. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, and then as well, Miguel, you just became a channel member too, so thanks for that while we were reading. I think Lightning and just everybody in here where this is your first time reading through, I think this next chapter will give a lot more just information on what's going on. So
yeah, this is going to help set this arc up
definitely
for you guys.
it's
For context.
I'm definitely really excited for it, but I wanted to just put this out there. The construction has stopped in my apartment, but if it kicks up again, I will let one of you know if there's a character reading a line and we might have to switch out in between, because I don't want to have that in the background. But yeah, I mean, if you're all ready, does anybody else have anything to say about this chapter before I move on to the final chapter for this stream? We're making great time for these readings.
Beatrice's bragging was great. She has confidence in Subaru to the fact that she's saying we're going to be the best. That's amazing.
My favorite part about it is that Subaru takes on a fatherly tone with her and like basically tells her off for being so arrogant.
That was very good.
You can really feel like the older sibling father-daughter bond here.
I like that
love it.
Joshua has a little mini like Regu style rant about Julius. He's like gushing over his older brother. And Julius
he is living through his brother.
Julius is only 20, Lightning. What do you think about that? He's still fairly young.
He's doing better than me at 23. He's an amazing job.
Yeah, Julius
That's
is
the
only
point.
2 years older than the Subaru, you know? Like, it's not that big an age gap.
They're all pretty close in age, Felix, Subaru, Ryan, and Julie. But yeah, he's definitely doing way more than I am at 22.
Subaru is definitely still the youngest, though.
ReZero is just a series where every character has like random ass birthdays and you get confused at them.
Yeah, ironically enough, the image that we're using for the background for this stream is a Subaru birthday image, which is on April 1st, if you guys didn't know that.
Yes, my favorite birthday in all of ReZero, because the author is literally telling you that Subaru's existence
It's a
itself is a joke.
So great.
It's cold-blooded.
Okay. So now our lovely group, the Emilia camp, is going to be setting out for Prestella. Is everybody set to go? Because I believe I'm narrating this one.
Yes, you are.
Set to roll out? All right.
I'm ready.
We're going to have a brief discussion after this, guys, so enjoy the last chapter. Here we go. Arc 5, Chapter 3. Arc 5, Chapter 3. Each gives perspective.
It wasn't fair to Otto-kun that we decided so much on our own.
After speaking with Joshua and returning to her room, Emilia speaks as she offers Subaru a seat. Subaru seats himself there and chuckles.
Leaving Otto's panic aside as a legend for future generations, I basically always support your ideas, Emilia-tan. But if I'm going to mention something to be worried about, it'd have to be the fact that they're ready and waiting for us.
I don't think Anastasia would take risks anyway. If she's sending messengers, Mimi-chan may have been there, but Joshua-kun still took control when I tried to take control.
She recognizes you as an opponent if she's sending her knight's family as a messenger. I always wondered why in Sengoku dramas, when they send important people as messengers, they don't just kill them. But it turns out there's all this background stuff. Didn't think I'd be learning with that experience.
It's a question of trust between the parties and the people. If the people learn that the rulers acted unjustly, it harms the ruler's standings, and each faction faces too many enemies to be acting disgracefully. Otherwise, since a group faces more clandestine enemies, the larger it grows. It's simple logic to be careful when challenging influential people. The meeting with Joshua Juukulius is over, and night has fallen upon the new Roswell mansion. Since it would be awful to send them back on the same day they arrived, they offered to let Joshua and Mimi stay the night, and accepted the invitation to Prestella City. Joshua had been rather imposing when discussing the topic, but everyone saw his relief peeking through when their side accepted the invitation. His monocle was likely just a decoration to garner a certain impression from others. The earnest young lad.
He's way more likable than his brother.
You're always so insincere about Julius. Do you still have a grudge from the time in the palace?
Emilia catches Subaru's mutter and amusedly pokes fun at him. Just thinking about the affair used to make his face redden in shame, and his stomach burn with indignation. But how about now that some time has passed?
It's still too vivid for me to laugh and smile about. I was young back then, and I've reflected on my actions. I wish he'd do the same.
But I heard you both apologized and made up. It's so uncool to give shallow apologies and keep simmering on the inside.
But I'm only human!
Emilia looks at him reproachfully, but Subaru remains stubborn. Subaru looks away. Emilia frowns at him for a moment, but ultimately can't hold back her grin.
Fine. Subaru, you are just so stubborn. But you're not allowed to fight with Julius if we see him in Prestella. You are a knight now, and knights mustn't misuse their power.
Yeah, you've bested me, my liege.
Subaru covers up his blushing with some jokes and rubs at his upper lip. He gazes absently around Emilia's room before seeming to remember something.
Oh yeah, Emilia-tan. I didn't really know much about Prestella. Is it known for anything?
You need to study more, Subaru. Prestella is one of the 5 main cities of Lagunica, on the Trezi River, that marks the border with Karagi. It's famous for being built right on a huge lake, with canals flowing through the city.
Okay, so leaving aside that that's all second-hand information, it's a floating city. Well, you have Venice, so may as well be possible here too, I guess.
Venice springs to mind when it comes to aquatic cities. The town is surrounded by water on all sides, with lakes winding nonchalantly through the stone cityscape. It's one of those romantic places that everyone visits at least once, and Subaru regards it as a picturesque spot too, and so that's the impression he gets of Prestella.
Oh, Subaru. Prestella isn't a floating city. It's a Watergate city.
Watergate?
Yes. It's in the middle of a lake, so the city floods when it rains. They built huge walls around the city to stop that. And there's gates to regulate the water levels. The gates are so amazing and famous that they don't call it the floating city. They call it the Watergate city.
Emilia's explanation flips Subaru's pretty water town into an enclosed, watery jail. The concept is all so beautiful, and then they turn with these giant walls. Subaru tilts his head, wondering why they built this whole mechanism.
I think there's lots of theories behind the city's construction. Like they were testing the limits of their technology, or trying to conquer the floods without relying on magic, or the dragon, or trying to trap a powerful evil witch beast.
None of them sound sensible. But somehow they all feel possible, which is how you know humans did it.
The average person wouldn't come up with the idea, but the geniuses of humanity are fundamentally liberated from the reins of common sense, and sometimes their ideas get realized. Either way.
But we still don't know what they're planning. Doubt they be just being nice and directing us to what we're looking for.
Are you sure? Have you ever considered trusting in people more, instead of being so suspicious?
Sorry, but all the candidates have their faults, and I don't trust what they're plotting for a second.
Krush herself is trustworthy, but Subaru doesn't know whether she'll stay a demure lady, and he has to keep wary of Felix. The problem is solved if Wilhelm reins Felix in, but the Sword Demon puts Subaru on edge too. Knowing their circumstances, it's difficult to trust them when they're left to their own devices. Subaru has no idea what Anastasia is thinking, or what drives her. He cannot divine her motives for sending this invitation. Julius may be the knightliest of knights, but Anastasia is ultimately in control, and the business lives of the members of the Iron Fang are unrelated to who they are as people. Subaru can't dislike them. Reinhardt and Rom from the Felt faction may merit trust, but Felt's thoughts are unclear to Subaru. So long as she's willing to participate in the selection, Subaru must brace for the tricky, devious girl to be scheming something. If she seriously deploys Reinhardt, and he becomes their enemy, their chances of beating him in combat are a dream within a dream. The Prestella faction is the hardest to read. Subaru cannot trust either of them. Al might also be from Japan, but he is surprisingly loyal to Prestella, so he will not stand up for Subaru. While Prestella's capriciousness is already terrifying, she could randomly visit to decapitate him with a smile on her face. That's her breed of absurdity. Even though a year has passed, no candidates know the motives of the others. Subaru needs to probe deeper if he wants to know more than what he learned at the palace, which is one reason for accepting this invitation.
Honestly, I'm terrified of being in Anastasia's debt. How'd you figure out you were looking for a colourless spellstone anyway?
Puck showed himself in the palace, so I didn't want anyone to know he's limited. I was trying to be so careful. But you can't just stop people from saying things.
That's what happens. So, even if we get the spellstone, it just means things are going to go back to the status quo from other factions' perspectives. The benefits are in establishing the debt.
That said, Puck's return will enhance Emilia's already significant combat strength, but no amount of combat power alone will secure Emilia's win in the selection. It would just make their defeat of the Sizable Hare more convincing, if anything. The defeat of the Sizable Hare in Sanctuary. This second achievement of the Emilia faction, unrelated to the defeat of Sloth of the Witch Cult, is unfortunately not recognized by the public. There were no witnesses to the Hare's defeat, and it is impossible to retrieve any corpse as proof. They threw the thing into another dimension, never to return. It's the truth, but not believable. The Al-Shamak spell that Beatrice used is forgotten in this era, and she lacks the mana to demonstrate this technique again. So, while they reported the Hare's defeat to the capital, it is yet to be deemed as a legitimate achievement. And if they go into detail, they will have to describe Sanctuary in detail too, and thus reveal that Roswell kept a hidden village in his territory. Ultimately, they had to stop pressing the issue. They were told that their claims would gain credibility if the Hare remains unseen for the next decade, but by that point, it's too late to be a useful achievement, though it doesn't bother Emilia too much, since it all happened extremely suddenly.
But it's still annoying. Seriously, how much pain those fucking rabbits put me through.
But we really did beat the Sizable Hare, even if they don't believe us. That scary witch beast won't hurt anyone else anymore. Isn't that enough?
Emilia-tan, you are way too positive and kind.
When you do something righteous, it ought to be acknowledged. Emilia speaks monogamously, making Subaru recognize how pathetic he is. How nice it would be if he could think the way Emilia does. He will never achieve it. It just irritates him to not get the recognition he deserves. Emilia sees Subaru sulking, and her mouth relaxes into a smile. Subaru hasn't noticed that Emilia sometimes gazes at him with this tender look in her eye, or that her expression during these moments lacks maternal spark of a mother watching over a child, and is instead something indescribably complex.
People already know that you've achieved things, Subaru. It's formally recognized that you fought the White Whale and defeated Sloth.
For those, it really only feels like I got the scraps. People were doing a lot more to me than the White Whale. And I just happened to snag the perfect moment at the end. And I didn't have that goal in mind for Sloth.
All he was thinking during the Pyrrhixz fight was protecting Emilia. Or, no, that's not quite accurate. What Subaru felt back then was both desire to protect Emilia and hatred for Pyrrhixz personally. It's not a question of which is legitimate. Both are, and both desires are Subaru's own. It makes him uncomfortable that a fight which was basically a personal grudge is deemed as being for the sake of the world at large.
But that's the same for the Sizable Hare. You defeated two of the witch beasts that had been tormenting the world for 400 years, in such a short time span. I know I'm not one to say this, but it's like you're doing so much more than you should.
Yeah. And there I am involved in both. Honestly, I think what I've done's excessive. Let's just hope the last one doesn't show up.
Yes.
Subaru trusts in the power of words and prays to never encounter the Black Snake, but Emilia's response is rather wooden. It's almost as if she has some personal thoughts on the Black Snake.
So anyway, about Prestella.
But before he can address the shift in her attitude, she changes the topic. Obviously, she doesn't want to talk about it. And having grown somewhat wiser, Subaru decides not to force an explanation out of her. Though sometimes he forgets to pay attention to things like that and acts exactly how he used to.
We know we're going, but do we really want to go with the same people? I kind of wanted to talk with Roswell about it too.
I think we're fine. You're going, so naturally your knight, that is me, and my partner Bearco will be coming too. But, being serious, We'll bring Gar for combat and Otto too, since he's insistent to go. I'd really like for Petra or Frederica to come too, so all your needs are addressed, but...
It's too bad. Roswell's busy with the meeting of the Western Lords. We've known forever that Petra needs to join him for her maid training. Though she's so angry about it.
Because she completely hates Roswell after the sanctuary thing. Roswell enjoys it, which keeps her around quiet. But...
Petra is maturing justly and brilliantly as a maid, but her core is still dangerously childish. Her harshness on her master Roswell is particularly striking, and she conceivably would wring out the water from her washcloth into his tea. But since Subaru is on Petra's side, he's ready to overlook it, even should he hypothetically witness it. Only time will mend broken trust, but it seems that a year was not enough for Petra to start listening to Roswell.
Which means Frederica should go with them as a restraint, and a model of proper etiquette, which leaves Ram in the mansion. Hold on, this is dicey.
Really? And we'll be going to the meeting too, so Kleinson will be there. I'm sure he'll be friendly with Petra, so maybe Frederica doesn't need to go.
Kleinson. I don't really get him.
Subaru thinks back on the powerful butler of the Millelord Mansion, where the group stayed while their mansion was being prepared. He works in such incredible refinement that the eye can't catch it. It's a mess of a compliment, but it's what describes him. Subaru's training in parkour also began with Klein, who taught him the basics. He coached Subaru, who cannot exceed the physical limits of an ordinary man, when he was trying to figure out how to move without disregarding his boundaries. Anne Rose and Klein had visited the new mansion multiple times to hang out. Subaru had Klein watch him practice his parkour, but then Klein defeated Garfiel's obstacle course without breaking a sweat and without ruffling his clothes. He's inhuman.
But leaving aside who's staying in the mansion, we shouldn't worry about it. And anyway, I think we should be more concerned about being careful. Goes for you too, Emilia.
I do feel bad about agreeing without discussing it. I'll have to apologize to Otto-kun.
He doesn't care about his dignity. But he does hold on to things for ages. I'll tell him that I told you so hard, you off so hard. He cried. You cried. Oh.
Thank you.
Subaru fires an uppercut into the air, and Emilia smiles. She puts her hand to her chest and touches a blue crystal pendant hanging there. Even now, the Great Spirit Puck sleeps in the crystal. Never mind his true power, this gem isn't strong enough for him to communicate. If he even twitches, the jewel will break and he will be unleashed. Or so Emilia and Beatrice say. Once he is free, Puck will inadvertently bring great destruction on the environment, eventually run out of mana, and disappear back to where he came. Emilia is constantly supplying the crystal with mana so that this doesn't happen, and preserving Puck. Now they just need to make a good crystal from colorless spellstones, and they should be able to restore him. Anastasia is saying that she has seen spellstones that can withstand this wear.
Once I can talk with Puck again, there are so many things I want to ask him, so...
Emilia closes her eyes, saying nothing more. Her long eyelashes quiver, and Subaru quietly scratches his head. He can only vaguely figure what Emilia is thinking.
You better get back here quick, cat spirit. I've got a mountain of complaints for you.
And, as her knight should, he agrees with her alongside his insults.
You know, I'm saying this with everyone's best interests in mind.
Otto Suwen slams his glass onto the table, clearly in a bad mood. After his conversation with Emilia and dinner, Subaru decided to see Otto before his nightly routine, and has been listening to him drunkenly complain for the past while.
It's been like this the whole time. My amazing ears are sick of it,
says Garfiel in exasperation, sitting beside Subaru as he listens to Otto complain. He sticks his pinky in his ear and scratches his head, his sharp fangs clicking as he laps at a glass of milk. Subaru is insisting that they not give alcohol to minors like him. Frederica and Ram agree, and he is trying to establish 20 as a drinking age in the Roswell mansion. Also, one time, naughty Otto encouraged Garfiel to take a sip of alcohol, and it turns out he can't hold his liquor at all. Now, just seeing a bottle of the stuff is enough to make him grimace. Subaru isn't going to break the laws from his old world, so the only drinkers in the mansion are Roswell, Otto, Ram, and Frederica, which means that the only drinker in the room is Otto.
Don't sulk. Emilia's sorry about deciding everything on her own. She knows she should have discussed it. Don't think it would have changed anything, though.
But there's more things than their outcome. The process is important. You often get conversations where the conclusion is apparent from the very beginning, but the course you follow to get there is essential, especially when we're unguardedly accepting their offer. You mustn't play into the opponent's hands.
Subaru attempts to smooth things over, but Otto snaps at him. He's completely correct, so Subaru can't rebuke him. But...
What the hell? You sound like an actual internal affairs guy, after how hard you resisted it in the beginning. Guess you weren't so reluctant about it after all.
Or just accept the damn invitation. Ain't that complicated, Otto.
It's almost invigorating how little you two have changed.
Subaru and Garfiel dig into Otto in concert and high five. The three friends are around the same age and often hang out together. It is beautiful how naturally their conversations fall into this exact pattern. Who cares about what Otto thinks? He makes a wonderful internal affairs minister. He was well educated as a merchant's son, learned the ways of the world as a traveling merchant, and he's both smart and calculating. This has to be a better fate than him somewhat getting swindled into slavery. Though he still tilts his head, wondering how this even happened to him as he chips through mountains of paperwork. Guy's stubborn. Since he's seen Roswell's confidential paperwork, it's accustomed to his post as Emilia's helper, and is neck deep in managing the territory of the Margrave Mathers, he has no hope of escape.
What is that? That pitying look? It's like you're gazing at a chicken seconds before strangling it.
It's more like I'm gazing at a battery hen that only gets to live for its eggs.
Even worse!
Quiet now. Stop teasing him so much, Captain. Rules are to keep it to 10 autos a day.
And how much is that? How much is 10 autos a day?
Yells Otto, his face red, but neither Subaru or Garfiel respond. This is what it's like when he's drunk. He's working a stressful job, so they give him his drinking time, but it might actually just encourage even more stress.
Otto vents best by yelling anyway.
Clearly not!
Yeah. Now, quiet down, and just pour yourself another drink. Anyway, Captain, got something I want to check with ya.
Oh, don't get that often. Go ahead.
Otto grumbles as he refills his glass and quietly sips at it. Garfiel glances away from him, his mouth white with milk.
How what the enemy's doing, obviously. The candidates ain't never got any scuffles going before. And now she's up in her face looking for a fight. She's gotta be up to something, yeah?
You mean you think she just challenged us to a duel?
Course I goddamn do. That's what she's thinking. Forget that weedy Joshua prick. You see the cat kid who was with him?
The cat kid is the same age as you. The comment is too tasteless for Subaru to actually say. But what's his problem with Mimi? Far as Subaru could tell, she was acting the same as usual, just reaching for her tea and biscuits, and she did the same thing throughout dinner too.
Girl's damn tough! And she was staring at my amazing self. Not just during the talk, but all through fucking dinner. She must have figured out I'm the strongest guy in the place.
Are you sure? No, I mean, Mimi is strong, and she's kind of a battle junkie, but...
She doesn't seem marginally smart enough to have an ulterior motive. Subaru can only see her as transparent, or actually just airheaded.
Either way, she's keeping an eye on my amazing self while we're here. Best we make sure you and Emilia-sama ain't caught on your own while we're over there, Captain. Otto's one thing, but we ain't ever recovering if we lose you.
You do realize that this fief will be an absolute mess if I'm gone? I wish that you would take that into consideration sometimes!
Garfiel isn't trying to belittle Otto as he urges caution. It's just that he needs to make the comparison if he's going to get his point across to Subaru, though he doesn't pass up the opportunity to play with Otto.
Yeah, I'm definitely relying on you for that. Don't want to draw it out, so this will be short, but I'm counting on you, Garfiel.
Yeah, make sure you do. Count on the strongest of the shields, aka the legendary guardian Garfiel Tinsel.
Garfiel proudly points at himself with his thumb. Subaru nods at him. He takes a sip from his own glass of milk, regretting how awesome Garfiel's titles are. He'll probably get even more titles once his might and valor resound throughout all the kingdom. Will Subaru's imagination be strong enough to provide for Garfield then?
I wonder if I'll ever have a stroke of genius like Invisible Providence again. Only Fortune herself knows when she'll smile upon me.
You're mulling over something again. You ain't gotta trouble yourself. You get things done when it matters. I got faith in that.
Emilia is the same, but the trust in Garfield's gaze is incredibly convincing. It instantly makes Subaru feel that he must match up to it. He's trying not to mistake the self-improvement needed to meet that trust with blind, headless sprinting.
If we've got Garfiel, then we don't have to worry about our combat strength. Emilia Tam's a pretty strong fighter on her own too, and I'm decent enough with Bearco. The problem here is Otto. Are you seriously coming with us?
Of course I am! I don't want to know what insane arrangement you and Emilia-sama will land yourselves into if I don't go!
It's also electrifying how little they trust Subaru when it comes to negotiations. Emilia is as honest and pure as she appears, and while Subaru is devious, he's also inexperienced. So, naturally, they look like sitting ducks to Otto.
Also, Prestella is the birthplace of Hoshin of the Waste, the founder of Kararagi. It has contact with Kararagi since it's on the border, making it a highly significant place for merchants. I find myself duty-stricken to visit it too.
I thought you washed your hands of being a merchant ages ago. The hell are you doing?
You are mistaken if you think that I will resign myself to being an internal affairs minister forever. My ultimate goal is to still be a successful merchant with his own shop. This is a necessary road to get there. A necessary road on the path to my goal.
Possible the road leads to your death.
That stuff about trapping him here is honestly pretty shallow, and if he yearns to go and can help them as an internal affairs minister, it makes sense that Otto should join them. Everyone in the mansion knows, for all their banter, that they can't function without Otto, and Otto knows it too, which is why he can't leave.
Positive steps to self-improvement that I've mulled over with Bearco.
You're gonna be fine if Emilia-sama and Beatrice are with ya. Meaning my amazing self got a cover for Otto. Watch your back for me, yeah?
Why does it feel like I'm the greatest burden here? I can't say that I agree with it.
Subaru gets serious, and Garfield accepts his post of babysitter. Otto grumbles and takes another sip of liquor. The night grows darker, the mood pleasant.
Now, we're going to be busy tomorrow, so I'm calling it about here. What about you, Garfiel?
Stay and drink some more with Otto. Getting pretty close to beating him in Shatranj. Might pull it off now that he's drunk.
Garfield disregards Subaru and grabs the game board and pieces from the back of the room. The game is called Shandron, with similar rules to shogi or chess. Subaru finds himself impressed that every world has these games. Otto's apparently quite good at them, and though Garfield has been trying his hardest, he has suffered losses upon losses. Also, Subaru's outrageously good at Othello, but struggles at shogi and chess.
Don't stay up too late, it will stunt your growth.
You're before, and so that's what I've been doing. But you sure this fucking works? Don't feel like I've grew at all this year.
Frederica absorbed some of your growth, so your case is complicated.
Fuck you, sis!
Roars Garfield, baring his fangs as he slams the Shatranj board on the table. Then he hunches over and starts meticulously arranging the tiny pieces. While watching Garfield go at it, Subaru waves to a red-faced Otto.
Don't you get too drunk either. If you wind up hungover and useless, Petra will think even less of you.
I feel like she's been rather harsh with me lately, but perhaps it's just me. Could you have a word with her?
You mean tell her to try harder?
I was clearly asking you to tell her to be nicer to me!
Subaru answers with a bitter smile, telling Otto that it's impossible, and leaves the two to play Shatranj as he exits the room. The crystal lights in the hallway tell Subaru that it's almost past midnight. Usually, he would be in bed by this hour, but...
Wound up running late today.
With that excuse, Subaru ignores the staircase to his room on the 3rd floor of the eastern wing, and heads for the women's bedrooms in the western wing, where...
Mind if I come in?
Subaru always knocks on the door. He knows that no one will reply, so does he say it because he has hope? Or perhaps he confirms that there is still no reply, so that he doesn't forget. So that he doesn't forget the inferno always blazing in his chest. Subaru opens the door. A pitch black dark room welcomes him. It's a simple room. Its layout is identical to countless other guest rooms in the mansion, but it plainly lacks in furniture. Just a bed in the middle of the room, windows, their curtains, a small table, and a vase with flowers. Subaru knows that no one will complain, but he dislikes the absurdity. Call it sentimental, but he wishes that the place had some human warmth. Perhaps a day will never come where he manages to disregard that wish as weakness.
Could rationalize things that way. I don't think we ever would have found common ground to our arguments. I like you so much just the way you are.
It's a vice to want beyond your means, in fact. Subaru, you are reckless on your own, I suppose. But you're not alone anymore. So I'll manage something for you, even if you're being greedy, in fact.
They're coddling me. And Emilia is tantalizing me with those provocative statements.
Subaru wishes she would be more careful about saying, I like you, or you're so cool. He has told her how he feels, but Emilia is too immature for it. The relationship still has yet to go anywhere romantic, but even supposing it did suddenly go somewhere romantic, Subaru is not mentally ready for it either. Give him 2 more years, no, 3, or even more if it's possible. That's the kind of loser he is.
God, it's so rude of me to go on about Emilia or Beatrice while I'm here. Petra beat me up as she heard this.
Petra might have the best grasp of romance and its subtleties out of anyone in the mansion. Somehow, everyone is terrible at relationships. Rosal leads the charge with his toxic obsession, with the others all having their foils too. Garfiel's feelings for Ram are still middle school crush, though Subaru has no place to talk. Ram's idea about extreme loyalty dictating love is perplexing, and Frederica's love life is completely unknown. Otto sometimes mentioned while drunk things about being ranked through the mud for philandering, but the consensus is that these claims are lies and pretense. It's a disgrace to these adults that a 13-year-old girl is beating them.
So, how does that stand? I don't think that tendency will change much, even after you wake up. Either because I'm a loser, or because you respect me.
Subaru pulls a chair over and seats himself beside the bed. Moonlight spills in through the crack of the curtains, illuminating her face as she sleeps. The light of the moon spills over her pale face, pink lips. She is a sleeping beauty with short blue hair, her curvy body garbed in a thin negligee, her chest rising and falling in time with her breathing. She has slept for over a year now.
Got lots of things to tell you today. Since some guests showed up uninvited, and with this crazy offer, I started my day with my usual...
Subaru speaks calmly to her as she sleeps. He uses his same comedic phrasing as always, but his tone is incredibly gentle. He speaks as though lulling to a child. He speaks as though lulling to sleep as he cheerily tells her about his day. She doesn't respond. Even so, these tries to unfold every night. Tonight is rifled with things to discuss. Until the moon sits low in the sky, the tale goes on between Subaru and the Sleeping Beauty. And that's the end of chapter 3. And we are done with the first reading. How are y'all feeling? I flubbed way more than usual.
You're all good, man.
Da,
You did a
da,
good
da, da.
Can I
Gain 3
point something out
XP.
here?
What's up?
So it says Frederica's love life, right? And then it goes immediately to Otto. That's saying something. Frederica x Otto confirmed.
The 2 tallest people in the mansion besides Roswell? Okay.
You wish, Otto.
You wish, Otto.
Otto's got good taste.
Why are you all so mean to me even after the reading is over?
Alright, I'm gonna leave you guys to the discussion real quick. I've had to piss since the beginning of this chapter.
Okay. Wow. Does anybody have any words outside of him wanting me to do the anime only thing for discussions about the chapters we have recently heard?
I think everyone should give a hand to all the lovely voice actors debuting today. They all did amazing, didn't they?
We get it done really good.
Every
We'll
time,
probably see
everyone
them in
did
like
very well
2
today.
hours because of the stream delay, but
Yeah, I won't
They're
lie.
still being mean to you.
The quality of my VA was dipping a bit at the end of there because my voice was starting to get really grouchy and my throat was getting dry. So I was
That's a
just
lot.
swigging water in between my lines.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, that's
also,
You're doing
the
good.
next reading is
Good.
Sunday, everyone.
Next reading is
If you
Sunday.
guys-
Also, I got terrified. I didn't bring it up while we were reading, but the stream actually crashed for like 3 seconds. So we were
Oh.
midway.
Oh shit!
We were midway through chapter 3. I think we were right at the point where drunk Otto popped up. Or like maybe at the end. But anyway, I saw the disconnect from OBS and I was like, don't do this to me. Keep going. And it reconnected, so we're all good. W's in chat, bunch of claps. Appreciate all you guys for coming out. We've had concurrently over 200 viewers, which has never happened on any of the streams before.
It's weird. It's really weird to see after being on so many of your streams.
VA's better than the anime VAs.
Oh,
Okay,
Keep starting now.
That's too much praise.
Let's not get into a fight with like any of the real VAs.
Not what we want on Twitter. We want, oh my gosh, you guys did such a great job. We're proud of you. That's what we want. We don't want.
I don't want to see Sean Chiplock tweeting at me saying he wants to do a boxing match. Like,
Hey, who's this holographic guy?
you want him in Nerva
Where's
figure
his
beat me in a
hands at?
boxing match? Do I have a
Oh,
community
you do it
Discord?
then.
I indeed do. Let's get flooded one more time when I send the link out. But yeah, what did you guys think of that chapter? Just the fact that it's been a full year since the events of Arc 4.
Yeah, it's been a year time skip.
I think it's been like it's quite interesting to see where everybody's at. Some people are kind of in the same spot, like Ram and Frederica. It kind of feels like they're getting similar energy. But it's definitely interesting to see Garfield again take new roles, and Otto as well. Otto is now being put in a position where not only does he have a job, because he was already looking for Raws for extra merch and things, but now he is so involved, he is stressed out and an alcoholic. The first thing I wrote down was we got Mind Break Otto. That's where I feel like we're at this point. They are bullying this man relentlessly. Like, not even, no hold bars. These two are picking on him. Everybody's picking on Otto. Petra is clearly threatening Otto's existence. It's just, wow. I cannot believe where this man has gotten with his life.
Sylvan and Professional Sleeping Bag, thank you for the donos. Appreciate it. Everyone's been enjoying the reading. That's really all we want with doing these streams. We know that a lot of people either don't have the time to read or they don't want to read. So this is a perfect way to immerse yourself before Season 3 ultimately gets adapted. So this has been fun. Really fun to do.
There seems to be a main focus on, at least the word keeps coming up, on the word faith.
Mm-hmm.
Emilia, it seems like Emilia is going on this more so spiel about Subaru, you should have more trust in people. She's naive, but it seems like the thing is also focusing on faith with Garfield having in Subaru as well, and now it's living up to that faith. So we got everybody connected, but being connected is one thing, but with those connections you have to have faith in one another. So I'm wondering if this is going to be pressed on a bit more or not.
I'd like to ask, because when the owl line was brought up, the chat exploded. We got to see how many anime onlys are in this stream. Because they're all like owls from Earth, and like literally chat exploded.
Anime news kind of spoiled that specific thing for me. Specifically,
unfortunately, cuts from Arc 3 might have confused people a bit on that. Yes, as revealed in Arc 3, Aldebaran is from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking crazy, by the way.
Which is why he calls Subaru bro or brother, by the way.
There's a lot of cut content from Arc 3 regarding Al, especially.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
Like a lot of important Al stuff was cut.
Hollow, was there a picture for this chapter?
There was not, unfortunately. The next one is the Bard.
Right.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
We have music next one.
$4.99 from Amir. Love the presentation, and I'm glad to see so many more viewers enjoying the reading. 500 likes, nearly. You guys are...
Holy
532
shit.
likes. You guys are nuts.
They're going insane.
This is nuts. Yeah,
Everyone in chat popping off as well. It's amazing.
Aquilia
so much
with
appreciation.
199. Yeah, this is
lovely to see so much interaction.
This is a passion project, like by definition, because this started out with just solo readings with me and Wolf. Then we pulled different people on like Drad, Gold, and I think Gold, you're the one that kind of proposed to refine this up a bit.
Thank you,
I did.
Gold.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's been a long time since then, but we've gotten everything together, and now we're able to present it all to the new people coming off of season 2, and we're glad to have all of you new first-time readers of ReZero, and those who are just fans of ReZero in general for joining us today on this live stream.
Yeah, welcome.
All these people are very passionate about voice acting, and they're all very skilled, and it feels very humbling to have them alone being able to join us for these, recording sessions. But it's also very rewarding seeing everyone else praise them as well and giving them a bunch of love, because they definitely 100% deserve it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
yeah, I really hope we all immersed you in the web novel of Arc 5, because one of our big goals with this was to get anime onlys further along in the story without having to wait possibly like up to 2 or 3 years for another season.
I will say this is why we did the 2-week hiatus. It was to assemble this entire team together and get them ready.
And it was worth it. It was very much worth it.
Yeah.
Everyone here is amazing.
But I will say, this is like half of our cast. So there's more people to come in future.
British Subaru voice and American Subaru monologue is my only nitpick. Well done. Well, because that's from the narrator's perspective, that's why someone else is narrating it.
If we had Wolf narrate it would be too overkill for his voice.
It would be. Unfortunately, I have so many lines at the moment, not including the other character I play, that I don't think I'd be able to manage narrating, unfortunately.
Yeah, poor Subaru's voice would be ripped to shreds.
Yeah,
sure.
But when it comes to specific lines that of monologue that I think are really appropriate for me to voice, I will request to voice them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are specific monologues that are in character for Subaru that make very much sense for having him to read.
Yeah,
I'm curious about Anastasia's VA. Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry at all.
Yeah, why would you ask that question? Chat, why would you ask him that question
Don't you worry. We only pick the finest VAs for the Anastasia camp.
That's why you should donate to the hosting company.
Chat, look where you are. Anastasia's right there in the corner.
She's reminding you all about us. Oh, I can take that down now since we're talking to chat. That was just there so people weren't upsetty if we don't read their donos. But yeah.
I have a few more things.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'd love to hear some more anime, like newer people to Arc 5's opinions.
So
once we get far enough ahead, even Hollow himself will be reacting to new stuff. So it's gonna be interesting.
Oh my gosh!
To see what you guys
I just realized I made a mistake.
Whatever.
I didn't put chat into OBS.
Oh.
I just did it now. Yeah, I just did it now. I guess when it crashed, or was it not there the whole time? Oh, whatever.
Oh, it was not there the whole
That's
time.
Fine.
I thought that was on 10.
Whatever.
OBS is whatever.
That's fine. Continue on.
Subaru has now taken a very strategic role. He even brought up the Sengoku period. I am like a huge buff in Sengoku, but I'm not going to go there. But it's quite interesting to see the fact that he is paying attention not only to his adversaries, but to their advantages as well. I'm sure he was already aware of like Reinhardt being OP is crap, but even Wilhelm now, he's even taking with some consideration that if things don't go well, that is a person they have to deal with, and a very, very difficult adversary they might have. He's even like, he kind of had them in an order to a sense, because right now, yes, Krush isn't much of a problem. Felt is more indebted to them, but she is literally the anarchist route of ReZero at the moment. Anastasia, my biggest thing right now, and as I pointed out with the city they went to, is the city itself is kind of I don't want to say like a trap itself, but the fact that it is surrounded by water makes any sort of pincer attack, like in any sense, let's say politically, let's say business-wise, let's say literally physically, way more easy to do than it would have been just having them be where they are, meeting maybe in the mid part of Lagunaga. Here she has the advantage, and they are literally walking into it, and it makes so much sense why Otto is stressed out, to the point that even Garfield is bringing up he was a little bit more worried about Mimi, which was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
Mimi wanting to fight him.
That's how Garf
was.
is, though. Garf by nature is like that, like cautious.
It is nice to notice as well that even the minor details, right? Even though the Emilia camp encourages Otto's drinking as a way to relieve his stress, Subaru and Garfiel are both worried that it's just making it worse for him and he's becoming an addict, which just shows how good friends they are.
We saw that at the end of the season 2 finale, how shit-faced wasted Otto can get when he's fully drunk.
Big and also making sure Garf couldn't drink, and so when he does drink, he gets wasted.
Don't drink, kid.
Oh man!
So you talking about Prestella makes me really excited. There is a light novel illustration unlock, I believe, next reading, and it'll give you a full visualization of Prestella.
Visually, this sounds like this would be my favorite town if I actually existed in ReZero.
It's beautifully designed.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful.
It's fucking stunning.
But yeah, you guys don't have to wait long. The next reading is literally on Sunday.
This Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all of you European people from Germany, just everybody from that side of the world, you don't have to worry about it being super late. We're going to start earlier for that stream. So we torture Wolf on Fridays and make him read really late. But then we pull him in on Sunday or Saturday a bit earlier.
To be honest with you, it doesn't really matter for me because my schedule is way more flexible around the weekend. So it's all good.
Mimi and Joshua don't have links in the description. Hey, Joshua, do you want me to put anything for your credits? Besides your name?
Just me. I'm just doing it just because. Don't look me to anything. I'm fine.
Is that you covering up this secret hidden dark past that I've never heard of before?
He doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it. What time is it going to be for... Okay, so for all of us, we're going to be starting at, I believe it's 3:30 p.m. this Sunday, EST. I'll be scheduling the stream right after this one ends, so you can go and wait for that one. It's an early morning for me, but not nearly as early as when ReZero episodes are dropping, so it's completely fine. 3:30 a.m. wake-up calls.
Hollow, I remember the amount of times I've seen you, like, when I'm awake and normal, like, up around getting ready for college, and you're up at like some stupid time in your time zone, waiting for the fucking ReZero episode. I'm just like, you serious?
He is up very late, chat, for like no reason.
I will say,
Hollow works hard.
I will say, if you're going to be recommending people to look at the ReZero map, there are spoiler territories in there. There's also just spoilers in general if you search something out like that. So it's also a fan-made map. So
it's not canon either. Yeah, this is basically a best guess of a fan of where everything is.
Yeah. I mean, how do all of you feel in the call right now? All these talented VAs that we have.
I feel invigorated. I feel reborn. I feel like I can do anything.
Oh, look at Otto, finally gaining some confidence for himself.
Fuck you.
Oh my god.
Whoa, Emilia! You're supposed to be an angel and support him, and then I'm supposed to berate him. That's our dynamic!
Is that your dynamic? Am I
This is off hours.
The read is over. I'm sorry. It's done, friends.
I mean, he read your comment. That's always pretty cool.
Everyone here should feel...
senpai.
Yeah, I think everyone here should feel very good about themselves. They all did very, very well. Give some props to the narrators as well. They voiced it beautifully this time around.
Narrating is hard.
Great. Yeah, they also voiced both Otto and Garfiel. I saw it.
Before I did it, I thought it wasn't going to be that bad, but it felt like the chapter literally never ended.
Just imagine this. Imagine this, Otto.
I was there for 2 days.
These chapters are
when I started this reading by myself, I did all 3 of those sequentially, back to back to back.
I don't get how, man. I don't get how.
I was dying. No, I wanted to quit.
Sounds like pain.
It
sounds like pain.
I loved scolding myself. That was fun.
That's funny. There was moments like that where, like, Garfiel as the narrator had to switch, and then also, of course, Ram and also Petra.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by how different your voices were for each character.
Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, same.
It was really hard.
The same person.
Hit us with an I suppose.
I suppose.
It's so perfect, Kiki. What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Why are you so good at it? Tell me your secrets.
Mm-hmm. You're so good.
Subaru, did you really think that was me, I suppose?
Anyway,
Yes. We all had.
I was gonna say one funny note that happened in the chapter as well is the fact that Subaru can't handle being around Emilia too much. The prospect of an actual relationship is scaring him. And if Kazuma was here, he would still be just as mad because he's only scared of a relationship with darkness. He's got a lot to deal with. Subaru only has to deal with Emilia.
Only Emilia.
Shake my head.
Just Emilia.
Just Emilia, and not all the traumatic PTSD that we will not get into.
Yeah, but now it's just the relationship part we're focusing on right now, right?
I do.
So I'm surprised, Lightning, that you're not more shocked that it's been a whole year since Subaru's reset.
Well, I mean, I didn't think about it until you said it out loud right there. You said it right then, and my brain went, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
Yeah. The period.
He's got a long break because if you think about it, the time frame for all his loops in from Arc 1 to Arc 4 are a very short time period for him. So he's had a long time to not die.
For once.
Yes, more so the fact that he seems so prepared now that my brain kind of like took it away. Like he's even preparing himself physically as what the whole
he's been training for that entire year.
Oh my god,
he's taking it very
holy
seriously.
shit.
DW with $100. I'm a simple man. I see ReZero content. I give money. I've never seen you in chat before, dude. Thank you so much for stopping in. Okay. Thank you for that. The red donos.
Stopping out the competition.
If only we had Anastasia-sama here.
So I realized that we couldn't do that beautiful suggestion that we had, Otto, because that would interrupt our readings.
Yeah.
So you would hear, "Thanks for donating to the Hoshin Company," as we're like in a serious scene.
Unfortunately, I remembered this morning while we were talking about it, I was like, wait, fuck, isn't this gonna like interrupt what we're saying? And then we were all very sad.
You just need it as a soundboard so that you can like press a button.
I will
play.
I will get Stream Deck.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it like that, or as like a, when you need to take a break thing. Like you mentioned this before, you can put up the break thing, and that's what the break thing is. It just keeps repeating it over and over.
Yeah. Want to know a funny story that happened with that?
What?
What did you do?
So I just made a simple break screen like Lightning, how you have it, where it's just repeating Dona walking into the tree.
Kidna hitting her head into the tree.
It's Minerva stomping her foot. And whenever I tried to like put the scene in and play it and do like a test run of it, the video would just like be glitch. I don't know why. Maybe you can help me with that. No, it looped, but like it would just freak out after a certain point.
Like maybe it's because you got a shite Mac. Maybe that's why.
Can you stop? Stop.
I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I've never had that problem. I'm looking at it right now.
Well, like eventually I can.
Kitten is hitting her head now.
Yeah. Hey, after the reading, will you guys stream the ReZero game? No. Sorry. How many of you have a Switch with Prophecy of the Throne?
I have a Switch, but not that shitty game.
Same.
I bought it for the art book.
I will have you know, I had it pre-ordered months ago, and it still has not arrived. I'd like we'd had the opportunity to play this probably bad game.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, I'm still
we at least got a lot of context. So,
the only reason I bought it is because I heard there's some really interesting world building tidbits. But
it was advertised as like this kind of not visual novel, like it's something bigger than that and has like something that's just as important, but it's just a visual novel with a terrible tactical quote unquote mode.
I guess I just liked playing it because I like ReZero and I'm too obsessed with it.
I mean, yeah, that's also a reason as to why I got it, right? Because for me, even if it's not good, it's still ReZero.
Yeah.
If that
here's
makes sense.
Here's the thing, though.
That game.
If
Yes.
if there wasn't already a fully localized dub for it, then it would be a good idea for a stream. But there's already one, so
Yeah,
there
they
would be
got
no
in
point in us
like
reading
the
it.
dub voice
I will
actors for that one,
say,
didn't
people
they?
were asking during this this live reading if we're ever gonna do side stories, EXs, ifs. That's a tall order in itself after reading a whole arc, but we'll see.
I will also say that doing the ifs is very difficult for me, especially because Subaru is a very different character in all of them.
That's very true. That is very true.
So we that will be much further in the future if that does happen. I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way that we're doing these streams right now, they're really welcoming, even if you're coming off the heels of the anime.
Imagine
Oh,
we get
yeah, for
popular
sure.
enough.
I hope we're,
What's that?
Sorry, you
I
can
hope
talk.
we're. Oh yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say I hope we're being as accessible as possible for people here because I really hope we're helping like you experience more of ReZero's story because it's really worth experiencing. now.
Definitely.
Right. Imagine we get popular enough to where if we do like Wrath If or something, we can literally get Sean Chiplock to do Subaru.
I mean,
Change
yeah,
my
like,
name to a kid
literally-
nut.
I mean, feasibly right now, the only if we could even do is
Wrath.
If.
Yeah. But even
because it will have no spoilers.
even
so-
Wrath If will put a that's a completely different tone for Emilia, for Subaru.
I would have to practice a lot for Subaru because he's a very different character.
And Otto's probably not in it.
We can't
Wrath
talk
If?
about that.
We can't.
Oh.
It's kind of Wrath If is really depressing though.
Wrath If is one of the most depressing ifs. If I'm being
This
honest.
would be a nice, I don't know if any of you guys can, but a good idea would just be allowing anime onlys like myself to know which ifs might actually be possible
Literally
to
Wrath
watch
If.
now.
What,
Anime's over.
you right now at this stage story only Wrath If is available.
Literally
to
just
you
Wrath
guys.
If.
Yeah.
It's also known as Obaru. You can only read that one because
Oh,
it's
Lust
the
If
only
too.
one that doesn't have spoilers. No, I think it's a bit deceiving.
Don't
to
give
call
them
it-
ideas.
It's a bit deceiving to call it Lust If, isn't it? Because it's not really.
Okay,
Lust
the
If.
butterfly dream.
I am
Sorry.
familiar. I am familiar with the butterfly dream. Yeah. I
Which
know.
Yeah.
one? Which one is the one with Rem?
Sloth.
That's Sloth If.
Of course you'd ask. for that.
Yay! She made an appearance
Emilia
today.
wants to know.
I'm happy.
She made an
Yeah,
appear- Oh yeah, what do you guys think
Oh.
about that? The fact that he goes in and tells Rem about his day every day. Just
It's
Very
really
sad.
It's really
I teared
sweet,
up.
isn't
I'm
it?
so
Because
happy.
it's like Subaru knows that it's pointless and knows that he can't involve Rem, so he tries in some small way to communicate to her, so she's involved.
Pride If has an incredibly dark ending. You are not incorrect. It's
No, it's so dark. One thing you will have to understand if you don't know about the ifs is when you go into them, they give you a completely different tone to the main ReZero story.
So basically think about every time Subaru encounters something blocking his path, he's tempted with either virtue or sin. So a lot of the times his good loops are when he picks the virtue over the sin route. The if stories completely toss those off the rails, and it goes into detail what happens if he gives into greed or wrath or pride.
So the divergence points for each ifs is Arc 1 is the divergence point for the Pride if.
Mhm.
Arc 2 is the divergence point for the Wrath if. Arc 3
Sloth if.
is the divergence part for the Sloth if, yep. Arc 4 is the divergence part for the Greed if. And Arc 6 is the divergence path for the Gluttony if.
Which we can't read at all.
Which you do not touch that with a fucking 10-mile pole because it has
Hollow.
the most spoilers out of any
Sloth
if.
doesn't have spoilers. It has spoiler characters, if I'm not.
I mean, technically, so does Wrath if, but
Oh, that's very true, actually. Yeah, that's actually... Yeah, okay.
Hollow, I was gonna ask, are you going to go back and timestamp when
Yeah.
each chapter starts?
I have to
do
wait for the
that.
VOD, though. It's going to take an hour or two before I can actually edit anything.
Yeah.
But I can do that. I can timestamp it where the breaks are so people can just see where they can go.
There was I have one other interesting thing about the chapter because it shows where Subaru's headspace is. Kind of in his 20-year-old struggles, which is you think you should be doing more than you already are. He stopped 400-year-old, right? They're really, really old bitch monstrosities, and he is still not happy with himself. One, for the fact that they're discrediting Emilia's accomplishment. One, for one reason that they haven't seen the bodies and stuff. But two, yeah, it's
think about this.
I'm very happy you actually mentioned that, because this is something that will be elaborated more throughout this arc.
Literally the next 3 chapters.
Literally the next 3 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psychic.
Yeah, Lightning is just a wiki
This
reader.
part of Subaru's character is a big contention for this arc for him.
But so far,
Because
it's going well. It's another,
Yeah.
the end of arc 4 was a very happy ending in the anime, and we come back and it's just like happy times again. But we are gonna go see a new destination, so that's also very intriguing to see. And for all of you who are interested, if I'm doing recap videos on this, there's already recap videos for chapter 1 through 11 that I put out months ago. But after you listen to chapter 6, you can go and watch that video. It covers the first 6 chapters in like 15 minutes. So yeah.
We have much else to talk about at the moment.
I'm
not sure.
Rem is best girl awake or asleep? Why?
Everyone was saying, oh, best vegetable. Oh, she's so great when she's comatose. Can't kill anyone.
She's so great. I mean, how did you like these chapters? EMT.
I like them a lot. So I went over the first 2 just because I panicked. But the last one I went in completely blind. They were really good. I liked them. I didn't realize how invested I would still be with just reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited for
Pei has a very
Sunday.
Great way with words when it comes to how he words a lot of different things at times. Especially he really shows you the gravity of the situation, but also he describes people's thought processes and the
really well.
Pei is very good at character psychology.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, I think this is pretty much the end of this stream. If nobody else has, anything further to say about these chapters, we can all rest up and prepare for the debut of some new characters coming on chapter 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed. Is there anything else that any of you want to say before we head out?
Thank you guys so much for listening and all of the nice comments that you guys put. We all appreciate it.
Nothing but support.
Yeah, it's
insane.
It's really nice to see it, because we if we're being totally transparent here, some of us were a bit nervous before the stream. So you guys encouraging us has really helped.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should join up and subscribe and get your subscriber if. There'll be a new story starring you when you go on here.
Oh,
Yes.
this sounds like a really shitty self-insert.
This sounds like a
fanfic.
pyramid scheme.
Donate to the the Emilia camp.
Otto's betrayed.
We are all one.
I knew
I'm a
you'd come
merchant.
around.
Only if you can, of course.
I knew you'd come around eventually, Otto-kun.
Hey, get away from my best friend!
Read me
That
more.
meme with the two people joining hands, friendship and
Frolicking in the fields.
Emilia.
Hollow.
Is my best friend.
What's up?
Should I throw in the voice? Should I do the voice for 5 seconds?
What voice? Oh, Vegeta.
The Nappa
the
voice.
Nappa voice.
Do you-
Oh my god.
Should I do it for 5
Why
seconds?
not? Go for it.
You should subscribe over to the Hoshin Company. Isn't that right, Vegeta? Nappa, stop asking me to subscribe to this channel already. I've already done it 4 times already. You've asked me for my second phone. Vegeta, let me see your scouter. Nappa, stay away from me. There you
Why
go,
doesn't
guys.
Lightning become a VA in our group?
Yes, why doesn't Lightning upgrade into VA?
Because my money
Join
and my time, I don't know. We'll see.
You just
We'll see
hear
eventually.
Emilia in the middle of the night. You just hear her go, join us.
Join us.
One of us. One of us.
Donate to the
You
Prestella.
can't escape.
Oh god.
Oh god, Emilia time.
Johnny.
I can't wait till we have episode discussions with the Cripple Knight. I can't.
You just won't stop.
That reminds me, I have a question.
Yeah.
It said that Al's from Japan.
Yeah, it's
What?
cut content from Arc 3.
Yes, Al is from Japan.
He
which is
literally
why he
says, "You're
refers to
isekai
Subaru
too."
as brother
Yeah.
or bro.
Oh,
Turns out he was transported in time about 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, he predates Subaru.
It's Subaru, and he's also there with them.
Pick Priscilla.
Al is 40 years old, I think, just about.
Al's middle-aged, yeah.
Yeah, 40 years old, I think. So
Yeah, around that.
he's been in Japan, and now he's been in this world for about 20 or so years.
My chat
He's got
just
some
Oh.
good survival skills.
my chat just said maybe you guys should do a bridge shorts. You have no idea.
You have no idea what we have planned.
Muhaha.
Emilia
God.
Tan learning about the birds and the bees.
Don't
Oh,
spoil
we're
it.
gonna have lots of fun with that.
Yeah, you spoiled.
It's not everything though. They don't know the script. You don't even know the script yet.
don't.
We
don't
need to
leak it,
include
Hollow.
Beatrice.
What?
Oh my god.
No,
No,
that was a very-
I'm not
that was a
explaining the
very
birds
Emilia
and the bees
Also,
to
can we-
Beatrice. It's
can we
bad enough
just-
with Emilia.
Can we appreciate
Can
everybody's
spirits even
PFPs?
fuck?
What? Your internal affair is what are you again? This thing is very
I'm
vulgar,
drunk.
Super.
That's what.
Oh no, go to the back, fuck to sleep.
Okay, we gotta end the stream now
Yeah,
before
we
anybody.
do before they clip that. Thanks for coming out, guys. Have a great time. Thanks
Have
for
a good
coming.
day.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you all.
Donate to the Hoshin Company. Have a good night.